What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Season Gaming Bitcast, episode 272. I am your host, Ainsley Bowden. It is a lovely Sunday morning here in Kansas City, and I've got the regular crew back with me this morning, looking partially dapper. I'd say we're standard today. We've got Dan in a t-shirt, we got Hogan the hoodie and the hat, and Travis rocking the Mr. Tie guy, of course. How we doing, boys?
I'm doing well. I like my hoodie and my hat, but you know,
I didn't say there's anything wrong with it. It's just we look very as we always look today. It's like this is the outfit for all four of us. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. We're going to be talking today about a number of things, including, of course, Grand Theft Auto 6, and finally hearing we're actually going to get to see this mythical game next month. We've got the Game Award nominees coming out tomorrow. We'll obviously have a few jokes about that. We've got a few other things to talk about as well, including Modern Warfare 3 launching, some updates on some gaming media that I wanted to touch on as well. But before we get into all of that, first, a couple things I wanted to call out is first, I wanted to say a sincere, is what I was trying to say. Thank you for anyone who super chatted last week and or donated to Extra Life after the show. I know Against the Tide over on Hoag's side and a few others kind of shared out some stuff with my Extra Life campaign. And thanks to the super chats last week and extra donations, I was able to pass my goal, even though I couldn't stream last week. So thank you very, very much for that. Really appreciate it. And other than that, yeah, we, it's been a little more quiet outside of Bitcast on the Season Gaming side. Just a lot going on. But despite that, still a bunch of new subs coming in, which is awesome. So if you're new here hanging out with us, thank you very much for that as well. Really appreciate it. All right, gentlemen. Well, we've got to take a look as we're talking about GTA today. Tide came through as always. Let's see what she got for us.
Oh, do we have some? Oh, I was hoping I had a lollipop or a bikini or something. No. All right.
We all were, Hoag. We all were.
You heard it here first. Hoag was hoping he'd be in a bikini for this shot. Tide, you know what to do.
This is great. In Travis's hand. Is that a vape?
Yeah, no, it's one of the black light things. He's like straight from Detroit.
Yeah. So
he's like David Caruso. It's like
Ains looks like he just got added to the Fast and Furious cast.
I do. Oh sure. God, yeah, what disturbing news!
It's great. It's great.
Yeah. Quarter of a mile at a time. That's awesome.
Dan looks like Trevor from Grand Theft Auto 5, like right when he started using meth, like before the downturn.
Yeah, I think Stan has good eyes.
Hoag looks like the side quest character that you have to help get a girlfriend. There's like always one of those, like an affable character.
He's not wrong.
And I'm clearly the government spook and or some dude who's about to dose somebody. Don't trust my character in Grand Theft Auto. It never works out well for you. I'm definitely going to try to kill the player in the final act, regardless.
No doubt.
You're the FBI agent that has a whole string of quests and then turns on you.
Yeah, exactly. That's like a classic GTA thing. So it's good.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Dan, yeah, you always look sad, my friend. We got to turn that frown upside down.
Sometimes, art imitates life. So
yeah, I think honestly, to the AI credit, they're nailing Dan's general vibe. I think they're making me like. Clearly, the AI thinks I'm evil. Every
AI is smart, man. It is intelligent.
Yeah. I mean, we won't get into the problematic nature of what the AI. Why is the AI doing that?
That's good stuff. Thank you as always, Todd. Appreciate you. All right, gents. Why don't we go ahead and get into? Oh, wait. How could I forget? Googleman was first this week again. He reclaimed, his title with the first super chat here. Let's grab these out of the way quickly.
All right, Googleman with the €5. Welcome back to the number one spot, buddy. Still playing Dark Tide, even though it quickly turns into an endless plateau. Space Marine 2 also coming 2023 still. Lacrids by Bulo is good. Shush. Bulo. How do you say that? What is that? Is that a long
I have no idea. I'm not going to even attempt it.
I don't know what Lacrids is.
Dark Tide,
Come on,
a game I wanted to play, but with everything else that has come out, I have not even touched it, even though it's installed. Space Marine 2 is supposed to still come out this year, but the last we saw of it was right, I think, the beginning of September when they said that, and it is obviously mid-November now, and we don't have a release date, so I'd say that's looking kind of iffy.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet money on that.
No, it looks good though.
What would you bet money on?
Not really a betting man.
How risky? Yeah, see, so that phrase means nothing when it comes to it. Ask someone who will take bets. On
I won't bet money on that.
There we go. And Ains is an addict. He's got a problem. So if he wouldn't bet on it, then now you got some information.
I did used to gamble a lot. This is true.
I know you look like somebody who used to gamble a lot. You look like you want to talk about it.
I look like I lost a lot of bets in life.
You look like you want to tell somebody about how you used to gamble a lot.
I'm good. We're gonna go ahead and move on. But Googleman, welcome back to the number one spot. As Dan said, thank you very much. Random name in the house.
Random name with the 499 super chat. With the Golden Joystick Awards, winners and nominees, how do you feel about your choices for the Keeley Awards? Like how they call them Keeley.
I'm feeling pretty good.
I'm feeling pretty good.
You should be.
I'm not worried about it.
I still don't feel good.
Yeah. We should.
Though I will say, there's been a lot of talk, and you guys have seen it, a lot of awards and talk of Resident Evil 4 Remake, which I'm loving because if that hits,
4 is more present than I would have expected.
If that hits by chance, I'm golden. Because I'm the only one with it on my list. So
to be fair, I think we also saw Dave the Diver in there in the Golden Joystick Awards.
It's a recommendation. So, I mean, it was a category.
I mean, here's the thing I learned about the Golden Joystick Awards. I forgot that every year at the awards, I'm disappointed in who gets nominated. So I forgot that part. I was like, oh right, I hate all the choices they make. I forgot about that. So I'm basically just win or lose on this bet. I'm just bracing for a gut punch of like, man, I can't believe this is what got nominated. So,
yep. Yeah. We'll all be ready tomorrow for
the
Modern Warfare 3.
Yeah, right. It's gonna just be a bunch of games. We're like, oh God, really? Is that what we think is the best in this industry?
So the most interesting one, not to stay on this, but Resident Evil 4 Remake won Best PlayStation Game over Final Fantasy 16 and anything else, obviously.
And Spider-Man.
And Spider-Man. Well, I think Spider-Man won a different award, but still.
But it didn't win Best PlayStation Game, which is
the problem with their nominations. Here's a PlayStation Game of the Year. It was Final Fantasy 16, Resident Evil 4, Street Fighter 6, Humanity, Armored Core 6, and Star Wars. Those were the PlayStation nominees, just for PlayStation. Now, the Ultimate Game of the Year was like Baldur's Gate, Legend of Zelda, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Jedi, Alan Wake, Resident Evil.
Jedi got nominated.
Yeah, Resident Evil sure did. I mean, there was a ton of them for the Ultimate Game of the Year, but it didn't make any
sense. That would be 3 and 3 though if they both got nominated for us. So
like Dead Space.
But then we might be okay, and someone like Dan or Hogue may fall down. Like we keep assuming it's between me or Travis. But
I doubt it, dude. Dan and Hogue are fine. They're okay.
Yeah.
They should be feeling a lot more secure. I'm interested what you guys are going to make me play because I feel like you can't hurt me.
I feel like I can figure something out.
Really? Try me.
I mean, maybe it's not involving video games. It could be involving
what?
Something completely different.
Hold on.
I'm just saying.
Hold on
might show up here,
whoa,
one day.
Whoa. I think we're going out of scope here.
I would never do that. That'd be crazy. Although that'd be easy.
Too easy. Like I said, it was meant to just be goofy. Like it doesn't have to be painful. Right. I don't know why we're trying to inflict pain.
No.
I mean, that's what I'm trying to do.
We're just gonna make Travis do a full run on of Bang on Balls, right?
Yeah.
Like
Bang on Balls.
Doesn't he keep saying he doesn't understand that one?
Wait till Bang on Balls gets nominated. Yeah. Then what?
Yeah, right. I mean, I could beat Bang on Balls. I think I have 3 more levels in it. That's not that big of a deal.
I mean, you say stuff
Sounds
like
a
that,
pleasant afternoon to me.
Why is the AI always making me evil? Even though I'm trying to inflict pain. That's my whole goal here. I mean, he knows what's going on.
I mean, but here's the thing. I'm trying to inflict pain by making you guys broaden your horizons for what types of games you might enjoy. Dan, I really wish would lose because I feel like I could make him love a game. I could make him play Dave the Diver and then he'd be like, shit, I like this.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And
That
then
would be
he's like,
such
I
a
need to
great-
open my eyes to indie games all of a sudden.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like we could fix Dan if he loses, but it's just not going to happen.
You're gonna convince
Honestly,
Dan
you know
not
what
to
would
do it?
inflict the most pain on Dan is to make him play like 5 hours of like a battle royale.
It wouldn't happen.
See,
You wouldn't do it?
No way.
oh, you
But
have
what
to
do I-
honor the bet,
you would
sir.
I will honor the bet.
bet.
I'm not worried about losing. At this
I know
point.
you're
I'm
not.
just-
Yeah, you shouldn't be. You're definitely the best positioned right now.
But if you do, you have to honor the bet.
Yeah, I will.
So.
Sure.
Also, I love that our bet only considered rules for the loser, not for the winner. We don't have any,
Don't care
you
about
know, there's no like the person who gets number 1 spot gets something. It's like, no, just the person who failed.
That's a waste of
which
time.
No.
I think says a little bit
Yeah.
about this group. A little bit of the mentality.
Yeah.
This toxic relationship. we have.
Don't fail or there will be consequences.
I love it.
All right, random name. Thank you very much for the super chat, and good morning to Vintage Willis. Good morning, everyone, with the 10 gifted memberships.
Thank you,
Again,
Vintage
thank
Willow.
you so much. I run out of compliments and thank yous here, so yes, thank you sincerely. All right. Okay. So I wanted to get to obviously what we've been playing. I've got a couple things down, including Hoag's notes and Tie Guys Travels is what I meant to say. That's basically what our currently playing is lately. I did not have a lot of time this week. I did try to play some more Alan Wake 2. I got a few more parts or whatever the hell they're calling them, parts through.
Both. So you're not wrong.
It's
Okay.
parts and chapters depending on which story. That's right.
Okay. All right. So I got a couple more in. So I think I'm like 8 to 10 hours. I'm still pretty early, but
my final time on Alan Wake 2 was 28 and a half hours.
Okay. So maybe
That's
I'm
very long.
approaching a third, 8 to 10
You
hours.
can say it's very long.
No.
I had to do some of those fights a number of times.
Yeah, I think Ains, you're like I was under 20 hours. I think I was like 16 to get through the game.
Okay. All
I
right.
was probably right in between those two.
And you finished it too this week, Dan?
Yeah, I finished it. Yeah.
Okay.
I had to. Yakuza was coming, man. I had to hurry up.
Yeah.
Oh, right. So that's actually what I wanted to talk about with Alan Wake. So I've gotten a little further. Obviously, I can't talk about the complete experience, but I really am enjoying it. It is kind of all over the place. The open kind of sections of Alan Wake, where you're exploring and stuff for fun, I'm enjoying them. They're a little, I don't know, they're a little slow. They don't do a whole lot for me, but I am enjoying it. But I wanted to, regardless of my perspectives, because I haven't finished it, I did want to bring up a comment we got on last week's episode after Dan's rant about Alan Wake 2.
Of course.
So no, they agree with you, Dan. So
I know. That's what I'm worried about.
So shout out to test subject 15. We don't know what happened to the first 14. We're looking into it.
But
number 15
I
says
think
no.
we know what happened.
Yeah.
They're in a mass grave.
They agreed with Dan too, and look what happened.
Mm-hmm.
He or she said, totally am with Dan on Alan Wake 2. Lifelong Remedy fan here, and his Nolan analogy with the heads up asses line is spot on. I'm sure I'll finish it eventually, but not anytime soon. I never thought I'd be so disappointed in the combat and pacing in a Remedy game, but they finally did it. To make the gunplay so plain and serviceable, lacking any sort of flair and style that they're known for, is blasphemy to me. You come to Remedy games for stylish, gimmicky, bullet-ridden action and nutty, quirky narrative. Well, this is what he said.
That's a crazy reason to come to Remedy, in my opinion.
Remedy must have lost the memo for the former when it came to designing this one. Hopefully they can bring it back for those Pain remakes. So that's one obvious, just one person's opinion. But now that you finished it, Dan, have you changed your opinion at all? And of course, Hoag's finished it as well. And I'd like to hear from both of you on kind of the final thoughts on the journey, if you will.
Yeah, I can talk to that.
Yeah, you go ahead, man.
There's a couple things, right? So I've said this in this space and other spaces a number of times, but I think that the combat in a game should always be reflective of what the game wants to be. And the original Alan Wake and Alan Wake 2 don't want to be Max Payne. They don't even want to be Quantum Break. They certainly don't want to be Control. They don't want you flying around and throwing boxes everywhere. And Alan Wake 2, I do think, loses some of the verve of Alan Wake 1 that has some cinematic slowdowns and is a little bit flashier with the light and the dark shadows. Alan Wake 2 is aiming at something that I would argue is more quote-unquote realistic. They're trying to put it in the world a little bit more, so the dark shadows are honestly a little bit hard to see from a gameplay perspective. And the flashlight mechanic is a lot less gamey. So Alan Wake 1, you have to hold it on them and you have to do various things. That is much more gamified. And Alan Wake 2 is a button, essentially. But I think Remedy made the specific choice to say this is a survival horror game. We're going to take you down to the tank controls from the Resident Evil series, and we're going to make this feel tough. It's going to make every encounter feel tough in a way that Alan Wake 1 doesn't. And I think that's a choice in the game that they're designing. And I like that choice. I think they make some mistakes towards the end, honestly, because I think they ramp things up to huge groups like Alan Wake 1, and they do various things at the end that I don't think their combat system is really built for, that you don't see Resident Evil do. And I don't love that. I think there's a pretty big difficulty spike towards the end of the game. And I think that that's not awesome for gameplay experience. But the narrative is strong enough that chances are you're going to will yourself through however many times it takes. And it took me a lot longer to get through Alan Wake 2 than some of my brethren here. But we still got through it. So I think it's a good game. I said last week that Alan Wake is one of my favorite games of all time, and I thought Alan Wake 2 was better. I think Alan Wake 2 is both better and worse. I think Alan Wake 2 is a more considered game design than Alan Wake 1. Alan Wake 1 really has the combat simply there as something to keep you from narrative beats. And Alan Wake 2 has a more thoughtful combat mechanic and progress through the game with healing and other things that is more thoughtful. It's a better game. It's a more engaging game. But narratively, I think to the comments about Nolan, I do think as it continues in complexity and puts more and more things on its plate, there is a little bit more of the up your own ass kind of fart sniffing than I was feeling in the first, say, 5 chapters. So it definitely goes to a place which is very aren't we so smart, in a way that I don't think they fully pull off or earn at the end credits.
I definitely didn't feel that in my playthrough. Like the pretentious part of it. To me, it was just like a team that was having fun.
Travis. Nightless night. Nightless night.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, it was just them having fun, and I think that they use the fact that you're expecting twists against you to kind of like confuse you, and even when like you see twists coming, you don't trust it. And to me, it just struck me as just a team that was having fun and not really caring about what the viewer was going to think about it. There's like, look,
I think it's mostly that. I think that's the predominant flavor, is that you feel like they're going crazy and they're having a party in their writer's room and you're along for the ride. But there are points as you get more towards the end and you're in a loop, as it were, with the things that they want to talk to you about. That I do get some of that vibe, and I can certainly understand if you're not on Remedy's wavelength at all, that could be too much by the time you get to the end of the game.
Yeah, I guess the thing I disagree with in the super chat is that like Remedy is about gunplay. Like certainly with Max Payne.
I think Max Payne, that's how they got popular, right? Max
Payne certainly with Max Payne, but like with pretty much every game since, like I wouldn't say Quantum Break is a game you play for gameplay. That game is pretty mediocre in terms of gameplay. Alan Wake 1, obviously very mediocre in terms of gameplay. I think Control, they get back to it a little bit, but like I would say half of their games are like you get through the combat and it's good enough, right? Kind of like a Bethesda RPG, like the shooting isn't why you play, but it's good enough to entertain you when you're going from point A to point B in your adventure.
I feel that way about Alan Wake, but I think it's the exception. I think Quantum Break and Control are kind of imaginative.
Quantum Break, really?
That game Quantum Break with its time shields and bubbles everywhere and zooming to different points on the map.
I mean, it's got like gimmicky stuff, but I wouldn't describe it as like good gameplay. I don't know. It's
you
like
don't have to describe it as good gameplay. It has gimmicky stuff, right?
It is.
And Alan Wake 2 does not.
No.
Does it not have gimmicks? I mean, it's got shadows. You have to decide if they're real or not. That's kind of like a little gimmick mini game. It's got the enemies going at the speed of sound out of nowhere, which is kind of like a
we call them ninjas.
It reminds me of Quantum Break a little bit with how they had those speed suits and stuff. So I don't know. It has like it's basically exactly what I would think, but obviously
I like Alan Wake 2. I'm just saying that I don't think it has the gimmicks that Max Payne or Quantum Break did. And I certainly don't think, especially if you came straight from Control, that it matches what they were doing with Control, right? Control is Remedy's most recent game. And to a lot of people, Control was what Remedy games are. You're flying around, you're throwing boxes psychically, you're doing all this stuff in a very dynamic combat environment. And this returns more towards Alan Wake and Quantum Break. But if you came straight from Control, I can see how you could be like, that's not what I wanted. Now, I don't think Control is a very strong game because I don't think their narrative matches up to what they're putting out there in Control. So you could see how they've kind of bifurcated a little bit of what people think about them. I loved Alan Wake 2 because their narrative was much better than Control, but the combat is certainly different.
Yeah. I guess if you're expecting an action game and you get a survival horror and you're surprised by that, I could see why you're upset. But when they said survival horror, I was like, all right, I know what I'm in for. And, if you don't like that thing, you sort of play through it for the story, which, I didn't have trouble with the combat. So it was just a different experience. Probably it was like, all right, burning through it, shooting flare guns at people. But yeah, there's that.
I love it when I talk to Travis about difficulty because Travis is always like, oh yeah, I paused for a second and then I just murdered everyone. I don't know what people are complaining about. It's like, Travis, you're clearly very good at video games. I'm a little less so this year in particular, but
I know. Yeah.
I do think that there are things that Alan Wake does. There are boss encounters, there are fights in Alan Wake 2 that are not great matches for the game they designed. And that's always where I start to say, well, okay.
Toward the end, it definitely reminded me more of Alan Wake 1, where you're fighting large groups of enemies and you're kind of just blowing through them, versus this game where, like, the vast majority of the time you're walking around, like, if you see 3 of these guys, you're like, oh crap, like that's a serious combat encounter. And then at the end, you're just sort of like, oh, I'm just shooting flare guns and killing like 8 dudes at once.
Better be a ninja.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny.
Yeah, right now, like if I see, to your point, if I see more than like 2 or 3, I'm pretty much just trying to run. I don't try to fight anything. I just try to.
No, they try to teach you that in the middle of the game. Run more.
Yeah. To Travis's point, it's kind of funny you say that because I feel like that's Travis and I usually we're like, it wasn't hard. It's too easy. But I've had people reach out to us, right? We're trying to focus at SG on commenting on accessibility within games, right, more frequently because it's a big focus for modern development. But the trouble I have is I can't really comment on it outside of what I see in the options. You know what I mean? Like it's hard for me to understand what someone else who may have some sort of disability or issue with, like I can't relate to that one-to-one. So it's kind of challenging to see that perspective sometimes.
No, I love Alan Wake 2. I'm pretty sure it's going to be my game of the year, but I don't think I like it as much as Alan Wake 1. That is where I finished up.
Okay.
Yeah, I would probably agree that the story is less cohesive, and I know that that's like 90% of Hoag's grading rubric. I think it's like the story is good, but it's not as complete and like easy to follow. It definitely goes like it's a weirder game, and so if you're down for less weird or you just want there to be like an ending that feels like an ending, you definitely don't get that in Alan Wake 2. You get like weirdness and some fun stuff, and for me it worked for me. I liked the cerebral weirdness of the Alan story and the grounded kind of detective of the Saga story. But yeah, I think that's fair. Hoag and I ended up kind of agreeing. I think we were both at 9s and mostly saying like, yeah, it succeeds. It's not a perfect game, but it like is one of my favorite games this year, just because it feels so unabashedly like just a video game, just like a.
I think it's a good partner piece.
10 doesn't mean perfect.
Yeah, I know.
Right. Like my game of the year last year was Immortality, and Alan Wake 2 and Immortality are of a piece. They have similar things to say about creation and storytelling, and I like Alan Wake 2 just as much, more honestly, because it has a game in it. Immortality is rightly criticized for not really being a game, and that's fine. But Alan Wake 2 is, and it's excellent. I recommend it to everybody. You're going to enjoy your time with it. But Alan Wake 1, like most lightning in a bottle type games, is kind of perfect in a way when it gets to its end, in what you expected and what you didn't expect and what it has to say about creation. And Alan Wake 2, whenever you're in a sequel and you have to re-examine these things, you already have the problem of having to go over some ground that you've already covered. And then this one is very much, in my opinion, the second part of a trilogy by the time you get to the end. Like it has that kind of incompleteness when you hit the credits of Alan Wake 2 that you expect from that kind of second movie.
Mm-hmm.
And you just hope it isn't 13 years to part 3.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, don't say anything about the ending, obviously, but
here.
Yeah. Sorry, Travis.
I really doubt we'll have to wait another 13 years after the reception they've had, because Alan Wake 1, I think, was critically received well, but it just didn't do well commercially at all. And it was an Xbox exclusive when it came out. It just had a bunch of problems.
It released on the same day as Red Dead Redemption.
That's a huge problem.
Yeah, that's definitely a big
Heavy
problem.
Rain was around there too on PlayStation. I remember playing Heavy Rain.
Less of a problem.
Well, for that audience though, like the Alan Wake audience was the Heavy Rain audience for all intents and purposes.
I did play Alan Wake and Heavy Rain.
Yeah.
There you go. Dan, where do you, given this conversation and now having finished it and the comment and your thoughts last week, where did you end up?
Yeah, I'm the same. I feel kind of the same as I did last week. I think I used the word, I think it was esoteric. It really is. And you guys were right. The ending, I would have rather had something a little bit more concrete than what they presented. That being said, I still had fun, which is, I guess is the point of, playing these games and stuff. That's why we do it. So, I mean, I think it's a good game. I love, I think graphically it looks gorgeous. I think the pacing is not my style, because I mean it's mostly the jumping back and forth between the mind place and having to get everything just in that correct order.
I love the mind place. That's my favorite part of the game.
Yeah. and it like I said last week, it's just kind of like the dichotomy between the two characters. I loved my time with Alan Wake, not so much with Saga Anderson. But you guys are the opposite.
I said the opposite last week, but like I think I doubled down on it by the time you get to the end.
Yeah.
Yep, agreed.
I understand that. I mean, I understand where you guys are going through. But I've never been a fan of that kind of narrative. I know a lot of people, and Hogue, I know you're not a huge fan of like the Spider-Man narrative, Spider-Man 2, right? It's just
Spider-Man 2 is my biggest disappointment of the year.
It's and I understand that too. I think that is more for me because, like I said before, I'm a simple person. Like I don't need it does what it needs to do to get me through. But the point of that game is less narrative focused, I think, and far more, gameplay focused, which is, why I think I had more fun with that one. Plus, I'm just a Spider-Man guy. It's really not a fair comparison. But when you get into these, like, Nolan-esque kind of, storytelling methods, and it's just so much gibberish. And there's nothing that and people are like, oh man, I get it. This is what this is, and this is what this is. And really, I doubt it. Because then there's another guy.
I do think Alan Wake 2 can be fully decoded. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure it could. I don't have time for that stuff. The
problem decoded it.
It's too much. Even Nolan has to have like a palate cleanser, right? You saw it kind of going from like Interstellar and Inception. And then Tenet happened. And it was just going downhill. And he's like, well, I better do Oppenheimer because I can't really screw that up. It's basically a historical narrative. So I can just, the story won't be a problem. I can't really change it. I can still really.
That's why he nested it in 3 separate flashbacks.
It's terrible. It's terrible. Listen, actually, Oppenheimer's not bad. The dialogue is garbage, but everything else is fine. Regardless, there's the Alan Wake 2 thing. I understand why you guys like it. I understand. I think there's just two different kinds of people out there. I really do. I think there's people that enjoy that
Alan
kind
Wake fans and not.
No, just the complicated, narrative kind of, I don't even know what to call it. It's just I'm going to throw so many things at you, and then we're going to try to confuse you, and then we'll maybe bring you back, but maybe we won't, and then we'll confuse you some more. And then there's like Spider-Man 2, where it's just like, yeah, this is pretty basic. I think like my 10-year-old could write this and probably do a better job.
What does the foundation do? Science.
Yeah, science.
It's funny, Dan, because I was thinking about, not to cut you off, but I was thinking about that the other day and why I don't like some of those types of games that we see from Sony first party or something. We talk about it a lot, Ubisoft, right? It's that reason. It's like, man, this is so surface level. It's so boring to me.
Right, but what people need to understand is that's not usually the main, hook of the game. You
But
know,
then don't
you
waste
look
my
at
time,
something
right?
like
If you want to be as basic as the cow goes moo, I don't need a 20-minute cutscene.
Well, I agree, and I would say I don't need
Or maybe no story at all.
15,000
Some
times
games don't
going to
have
the mine
stories.
place to figure out a clue and a thing that I really need to do. It's a different kind of pacing problem. The pacing problem in Spider-Man 2 is I have to clean up Chinese food and go ride a bike through a stupid park. You know, follow. You know, that's what I'm doing. I'm like, this is dumb. I don't understand. It screws up the pacing of the game. The pacing in Alan Wake 2 gets screwed up for me having to go to this place where I understand, I know the solution. I can't get to the solution because I haven't discovered this exact thing, and it drives me absolutely crazy. So it gets better as you go along. I also think that one level that everybody's talking about is a little bit overrated.
Whoa!
Hold on, wait a minute. I like the one in Control better.
It is
I like the
overrated
one
as far
in
as everybody
Control
says
way
it's the
better
second coming.
because there's nothing there. It's walking.
I like the chapter we're talking about,
Yeah.
and I like the way that it's presented in the game.
Yeah.
But it is showy for the sake of being
Very showy. Yes. Especially the ending of it. I was just like, man, that probably didn't need to happen. But all right, I get it.
Fit into what they're doing.
It's
they
very
just kind of
stylized.
put it there.
Yeah. That's fine.
Why it's funny.
You know, I get it. I get why people like it. But I mean, but again, it just comes down to, I'm a simple person. I think you guys are much, more I don't know, I'd say just smarter, just more refined.
I don't think this has to be a classism thing. I
It's not
just
a
think that
classism
Alan
thing.
Wake 2
I'm not saying
spends
that
time actually telling narrative.
Right. Yeah. I mean, but that's but the narrative in itself is not like, okay, well, this is just a good story. It's just a lot of stuff.
I think it's a good story.
It's a good story.
I think the technique that they use is, and if you reject it, is fine, is to throw a lot of possibilities at you to keep you off balance. And if you don't like that, that's not going to work for you. Right. But I do think that they do ultimately pick what it is that they wanted to say by the end of the game, which is what you're always worried about when you get that kind of, here's a bunch of nonsense. Is it going to be lost where they're just like, none of this makes sense at the end? Sorry about that. Don't think about what you saw 10 hours ago. No. Alan Wake 2 still works at the end. It just doesn't really finish off a lot of its thoughts in the middle of the game.
Gotta wait for the DLC, Hogue. The DLC is gonna.
I will play the DLC just like I played the DLC for Alan Wake 1.
Because Alan Wake 1 had the same problem where at the end it's sort of, you didn't really have all of the loose ends tied up, and then they do remedy that in the DLC.
Nice.
Good pun.
Nice.
I disagree. I feel like the end of Alan Wake 1 was more complete. I think of the shot with like Rose holding the light and Nightingale in the doorway, and how Alan Wake 1 ends as a finish line, versus Alan Wake 2, especially the post-credits scene, is like, what did we do here, folks? What have I just spent 30 hours doing?
Yeah.
Well, that also doesn't encourage me to put 30 hours into it to finish it.
I really like the game, Ains. I really like the game a lot.
He said it's his game of the year.
I know, I heard.
And I think there are other things we can talk about on the more minutia side. I do think it gets a little cheap with its jump scares.
Yeah, for sure.
In certain places. And that doesn't bother me, but it is kind of the cheap Blumhouse style of getting you. Yep. If I'm walking down a random hallway and you shine a bright light at me and make a big noisy sound, you're going to get me. But is that really?
I had one of those last night where it just felt completely pointless. I'm just walking and it just screamed at me, and I'm like, "What the hell was that?"
There's a part in the game where it happens like 4 or 5 times, like in a very, very short amount of time. I'm just like, "What in the hell are they doing here?" Like after the first 2, even I was like, "All right, this is probably gonna happen." Oh, there it is again. It's
yep.
Like, come on, guys.
Every time you can do that, it's funny because it's like, all right, I'm gonna open this door, and yep, there it is. Hey there.
Yeah.
Although I will. Go ahead.
See,
I think
the jump scares did nothing to me and made the person who was watching me play freak out every single time, no matter how predictable. So it was great for me. It was just like me just getting to look over and laugh every couple minutes at somebody losing their mind about a jump scare.
Yeah, I mean it's a little much in places, and I do think a little bit separate from Alan Wake 1, not entirely, but Alan Wake 2 is clearly Little Finland. Like this particular portion of Washington State is Little Finland in a way that it wasn't in Alan Wake 1. So Bright Falls gets a little bit of a makeover. Its sister town gets a little bit of a makeover. And I don't really have a big problem with that. Max Payne, after all, if you go through the Max Payne storyline, turns New York into Norse mythology pretty heavily. And that's okay. But it is a little jarring because part of the fun of Alan Wake 1 is that kind of weird Twin Peaks town. And I think you lose some of that verisimilitude when it's also Finland.
Fair.
But those are critiques. I mean, I have a ton of critiques on Alan Wake 2 because that's what happens when I really like something.
Yeah. I think critiques don't necessarily mean you didn't like it.
Sure.
I have a lot of critiques whether I liked it or not. It really doesn't matter.
It's also part of the role of reviewing a game, right? Like that's what you're looking for.
Yep. So. I don't do professional game reviews, so hey.
I complain professionally. And if you've ever met me, you will understand that intrinsically that I'm.
Well, I do that. That's lawyering.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Let's get caught up on a couple of these super chats. We have a good suggestion from Debbie here too.
All right, Debbie, the $10 super chat. Thank you very much. How about the winner has to play a game of the chat's choosing for an hour?
That sounds like it'll be another punishment.
Can we somehow do it on here for one of the shows where the three of us just kind of critique him the entire time?
The bet's already been made. We can't add consideration after the fact because these players have not agreed to this.
No.
Actually,
I'm not going to win, so I mean, it doesn't matter to me. But
we can add things. This is an illegal contract, Hogue. We can all double down or welch on this bet to our absolute satisfaction. Whatever you guys want to do.
Yep.
I don't think the chat realizes or the people watching realizes how back and forth we went yesterday, just trying to come up with a tiebreaker. And what I was trying to stress to this group, the group that just told you they professionally argue for a living, is that this was a joke. This was meant to be fun. Like this wasn't supposed to be serious.
I did not even participate in this conversation.
He did not.
That's true.
That offer was good.
Yeah, my offer was the tiebreaker should be whoever has the winner on their list because that makes the most sense to me in the spirit of the bet.
It's a terrible tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Because
Baldur's Gate 3 is the clear favorite.
Yeah, but hold on. But if Tears of the Kingdom wins, then it's not a tiebreaker. We're tied again. So it's a terrible tiebreaker because it doesn't necessarily resolve the situation.
That's why you need
two, it's boring as hell. The whole point was to have fun. So I recommended something fun like after or before the show, once we know the nominees, let's go through and guess the winner of every single category. And we'll see who has the most because that's guaranteed to break the tie. And it's fun.
And my reason we can get really tiebreaker is that it's not a tiebreaker of the original bet.
You didn't let me finish.
Different bet,
as per usual. So, or we can continue having fun and really get silly with it and do something like how many times Keeley mentions Kojima and Sam Lake because it's going to be at least 10 during the show, along with maybe sneaker choices or something like that. Just trying to have a laugh. So these guys are treating it like it's an actual legal contract.
Travis's point was that a tiebreaker must exist within the realm of what you already did. That you're having a second contest cannot be a tiebreaker for the first contest.
Correct. Exactly. And I think
what I mean?
Both of those suggestions are fine, and they are fun, separate bets we could and should do. But they don't resolve the original bet. And so my point was tiebreaker 1 should be whoever has the winner on the list. That should just be like double points, right? That will maybe resolve it. But if it doesn't, then the second tiebreaker I offered is whoever actually rolled credits on the most games that got nominated, which I think is also
because Travis has no life. So because he plays more games, he wants to automatically
win. Honestly, I do have no life and I do play the most games, but I actually am not that likely to have rolled credits on the games that get nominated because I have to review the bad ones. So I don't really I don't have time. I didn't play Spider-Man 2 like more than a couple hours. I didn't play. I mean, look, the Baldur's Gate, I didn't roll the credits on. Like I could lose that one for sure because I don't have time.
How about guy with the most who owns the most ties? We'll just go with that, and that will be the tiebreaker. In the spirit.
Logan said, "Ainge, you're trying to build a doghouse, and these guys are fighting over the type of wood and nails to use." Exactly.
Yeah. Listen, I want to
supposed to just be fun.
Well, I definitely agree. You're trying to build a doghouse, but I don't know if that I don't know if we've all agreed we want to live in a doghouse with you.
I think I think on the list already is the right choice. Maybe not the Game of the Year winner, which I think makes sense, but Ains is rightly concerned about ex post facto.
But that's it's just so.
But
I mean,
But it wasn't even part of the original agreement. It was who had the most of the nominees. And now you're just adding a second layer, which is you have to have the winner.
What a tiebreaker is, Ains, but it makes sense in the context.
Hold on, guys.
Well, I think the other option,
just whoever loses, if you guys tie, you both do it. How about that?
Fine.
There you go.
I'm okay with that. It's probably
we're okay with.
But again, it's not fun. Like I was trying to think of something funny to do.
Let's double
the fun. Do other bets, Ains. Let's do both of the suggestions you made.
Yeah, I'm trying to funny. I'm trying to run a show. Go figure. I'm not trying to determine a legal contract.
I'm just saying we could do both. We could honor the spirit of the bet, because my concern is the bets are meaningless if you just change the bet in the middle of it. You know what I mean? There should be consequences.
Well, I think the alternate to you have the winner is you have the nominee with the lowest revenue or something along those lines, right? Like you made the hardest bet. You did the hardest thing, right?
That's a great suggestion.
I'm not sure that doesn't favor Travis again because he has Dave the Diver on his list.
But Dave the Diver is not going to get nominated. Come on.
I wouldn't think.
Get nominated.
Yeah. Yeah, I say we do all of the above, though. I think we should resolve this bet in a way that makes sense and do other weird stuff.
Yeah.
Also, there's also a legit argument for, like, should we just do another draft for a second round now that we know what we know? You know what I mean? Who could get
I mean, given this year, that would still be probably a good bet because it's still hard, but that's a lot less.
It is a lot less
fun again.
But, but yeah, there's just more stuff. There's more things.
How about a pistol duel? Like we just get swords and you guys just fight it out. Thunderdome or something.
If Kansas City could hit San Francisco, then they deserve to win the pistol duel.
We already beat them in the Super Bowl. I mean, come on, that counts, right?
We'll fly out to Kansas City. And
that was a tough year, let me tell you.
So to Dan's point, going back to, in all seriousness now, if Dan's point, if there is a tie, whoever ties, and we don't know, there could be a multiple way tie, right? Who are the non-tiees, the ones who decide the game that the tied people have to play? Is that what we're saying?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
The lowest losers have to do it. I think that's also fair. See, I'm not trying to just benefit myself. I just want it to be in the spirit of the bet. That's all.
Okay. So let's land there on that one. And then let's create a new game, and we won't stay on this much longer, but let's create a new game after tomorrow where we all bet on the winners of every single category. And let's come next week with our bets.
That means we have to get the bets in like
a week.
Oh, because it's after the nominations. Okay, got it.
Yeah, nominations are tomorrow, by the way, if anyone's watching this. So it's Sunday as we're recording. Nominations are Monday tomorrow. This week, let's go through and place our bets for the winners of every category, and we'll figure out what we're going to do for that one.
Pro tip for everyone doing this, especially if you want to play at home. Don't pick the one you think should win. Pick the one you think that is going to win, given the history of how disappointing a lot of these outcomes are. That would be my recommendation.
Yeah, the winners are going to be awful. I mean, in terms of what you think should win, it's not going to be what you like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Unless you're Dan, because Dan seems to have this, like, he is the sample size, like he's just the poll. The random average person thinks this, and it's like, oh, so that's what Dan thinks. Got it.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I do.
If Resident Evil 4 gets nominated, I'm coming next week in like a suit and a tie and in sunglasses. I'm going to be just living high.
Ames, I fully expect there to be a message in my chat as soon as these nominations come out with who lost.
Yeah.
Yes. 100%.
There for sure will be.
Yeah. And there's only 6, and we have 2 of the same one. So the chances of a tie are pretty high.
If Resident Evil gets nominated, I will be happy for you, and I will be very disappointed in the State of the Game Awards. And I think you will too. I think secretly you'll be kind of like, damn, that should not have been nominated.
It's not secretly. I'll say right now it shouldn't be nominated, but I'm still hoping for it.
Should not be nominated. Dude, this year has been so amazing. If any remaster gets nominated, I'm going to be pretty fucking Oh, sorry. I'm gonna be pretty disappointed. Sorry, guys.
Oh my god! All right, Debbie, thanks for bringing that back to the surface from yesterday's DMs.
Awesome, Debbie.
Appreciate you.
Love it. And
Tando.
Tando with the 199 pounds. Alan Sleep 2. Even I wouldn't say that. Even I wouldn't do it.
It's just sad, Tando. Even if you're
Tando,
just listening to
he's
the
just going after
soundtrack,
Hogue.
it rocks.
Well, that's the one thing I forgot to say about Alan Wake, by the way. Dan, you finished a survival horror game.
I did, but it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't. I also played through most of Evil Within 2, and I didn't.
That's a great game.
I love Evil Within.
Evil Within
great
2
game.
and Alan Wake 2 have a lot in common.
They do. They really do. Yeah, I think
Evil Within 2 was scarier, in my opinion.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
So.
But it's also less focused on story and more on like making you run away and
yes,
it's more horror.
It's more horror, yeah, for sure.
Tando, thank you for the super chat. Shoosh is here.
Shoosh showing up with €5. For some reason, I thought Alan Wake would be a 2-part franchise. Hope the third game won't become Alan of Wake Ragnarok.
Alan of Wake. That'd be great.
Wake.
For some reason, I thought Alan Wake would be a 1-part franchise, given the 13-year wait and everything.
I do agree, right? You get to the end of Alan Wake 2, and one of the things that you think is, wow, I hope you guys get that next part, because this wasn't a guarantee to even have this part. It feels a little bit like, Shenmue 3. It's like, okay, at some point you got to wrap it up. Now, I think this is set up for a trilogy pretty well. And I think there will be an Alan Wake 3. But as you said, Travis, you think there'll be a part 3 sooner because of the critical attention. I think we have to wait to see sales on Alan Wake 2.
True.
Because I think it'll be popular, but I don't know. As for Ragnarok, I don't think this is on Ains' list officially this week, but I did want to call out Loki Season 2, because one of the thoughts I had watching Loki Season 2, which is the best thing Marvel's made in maybe 5 years, if not more, that the one thought I had watching the finale this week was, see, Ragnarok could have been so much more, people. You expect too little of things like Ragnarok. And Loki Season 2, I give 2 thumbs up. Highly recommend. Much, much better than Loki Season 1. Check it out.
Yeah,
cool.
And I will also say that I just in general with games and with really in creative endeavor, I will always respect a failed or mediocre thing that tried really hard to like do something different and like just put themselves out there, tried something different than something that feels safe but is successful. Like to me, playing it safe is just the most boring option, right? The thing, like if you play games like Ragnarok or sequels that Spider-Man 2 is a great example where you play it and you're like, yeah, this is exactly what I thought they were going to do for the sequel. And that bores me. And even if you don't like Alan Wake 2, you can't say that it doesn't try some weird and interesting stuff. And even if it weren't successful, I would respect that more and appreciate that more than a successful play it safe type of game. And the fact that it didn't fail, the fact that I think it's a successful weird experiment, I think is even better. So I love stuff like that. And I'm not done with Loki Season 2, but it feels kind of in the same vein. It's risky. I like risky stuff.
They swing for the fences in Alan Wake 2, and they do it in Season 2 of Loki as well. And I think it's great. You do have to get to the end, Travis, but
I know I need to. I know I don't want to get spoiled. I'm trying to avoid it.
I'm not going to spoil you here. I just highly recommend it to everybody that's remotely interested in it. Don't let the current state of the MCU convince you not to watch this, because it's the best thing they've done since Endgame, maybe.
Really make this the last MCU game or show that you've watched.
I already did that with Endgame.
Yeah, you should be fine. And then just don't even worry about what comes after it. Who cares? Who cares?
That's sort of what I did with Endgame. Like I was like, all right, no matter what happens after Endgame, at least I got to see my childhood comic stuff. Yeah, I got to see that play out. Like my dreams came true, my 8-year-old Travis dreams. So now they can try weird stuff, and I'm okay with it because it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, and Alan Wake 2, it is a swing for the fences type thing, and I don't know that we can sell it enough. We're not allowed to spoil here. We wouldn't want to spoil the experience for you all, but it really is every other minute. Oh, I can't believe they're doing that thing, and it's a combination of music and graphics and narrative that is hard to compete with, honestly. It's why it's my game of the year, I think. And I remember being about 4/5 of the way through, maybe a little further. And I was playing with my daughter, and I sat next to her and I said, I don't know how this is going to wind up, but I can tell you that this is art. And she agreed. And that you don't get to say a lot. Spider-Man 2, not really art as much as Alan Wake 2. So enjoy it while you got it. You don't get those every day.
Different experiences for sure. I just like to say that Ragnarok is still the most disappointing game I played last year. That game really, really disappointed me. Man.
You guys live in such an ivory tower that was the most disappointing game you played that year. you guys, I just
no.
Worlds apart.
Disappointing,
is
right?
not the same as bad, right? Disappointment is what I expected it to be.
Yeah.
And Ragnarok as a game, I know this is going to surprise some of you, so spoilers, is set up to lead to the event Ragnarok. And you get to Ragnarok and it's like, well, we're out of money and time, so here's some sparklers and a cardboard bear, and enjoy. This is the end of all things.
It's just not a fun game. Like that game was pure tedium. Man, yeah. I don't know. I won't go on. We talked a lot about that game. I won't go on about it. Travis, the one game that came to mind while you were talking about games that get criticized for trying to take a different direction. I know we've talked about this before. Halo 5 immediately came to mind. Like that game, they tried to take it a whole new direction with Halo and group combat and different teams and gameplay. And I think they succeeded in a lot of ways. But God, man, that old school audience was not having it.
I am a Halo 5 apologist for a number of reasons. But yeah, I think that when people get upset when they try new things, I'm like the guy who's in the background going, yeah, try new things. I like it when the old fans are pissed off. I mean, that's just my brand though. I just show me something new is my catchphrase whenever I boot up a game. And every time I don't see something new, it's disappointing. But there's different types of people. Like I think Dan is very much the opposite, where he's like, show me something I know I'm gonna like already. And I think there's room for that. I'm a tough critic, man. I expect the world for my games, and when I don't get it, I go as hard as I feel I need to. But yeah, I like to see stuff.
Yeah. Shush, thank you. Good to hear from you. Don's here as well.
Hey, Don with the $5 super chat. Good morning, Bitcast. Nothing specific to say this week. Just playing Spider-Man 2 a lot. Keep on casting.
Nice.
It's on my post-it note. I've been dragging myself through Spider-Man 2.
I got my post-it note as well. It's very different.
I do not have a post-it note. Played one game or two games. I don't know how you guys have the time. It's crazy. Man.
Oh, you know how I've got the time.
Yeah, you guys are nuts.
No, this is my problem, Dan. Like I had just a little time this week to put into Alan Wake 2, and then I feel like I'm so behind on the games I want to play. There's so many. So, oh well.
My daughter came to me every night after school and said, it's Alan Wake time, or time to visit the dark place. So
yeah,
it's good.
And my imaginary daughter came up to me every day and said, just keep playing games. This is the way. And I was like,
my daughter is in Chicago. She did not say anything to me except for, hey, can you send me some money?
I didn't know you had a daughter. I thought you had two boys.
I have 4 sons and 1 daughter. She's right in the center.
You guys are all breeders. It's crazy.
The Puerto Rico
world. What a world, dude. It's crazy.
Just wait till you have your bundle, Travis.
Dude, now we know from statistics though that you guys are the weird ones. You know what I mean? Like you're the outliers. More people are like me these days.
Well, we're older.
Right.
Too.
Yeah. It's very retro to have kids. It's very old school. You know what I mean?
Our kids are analog.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I'm like, whoa, they're still doing that? That's crazy. That's kind of cool. It's like having a Polaroid camera. It's like, oh, nice throwback, dude. You still doing that?
You shake the kid a lot and they show up. Yeah, that's good.
It's crazy, dude. Yeah, good for you guys.
All right. Someone talk to me about Like a Dragon Gaiden. I need to hear about it.
It's got to be Dan.
Yeah.
It's cool.
I played like 3 hours because I don't have infinite time. But
do you have infinite wealth?
I almost have infinite wealth. Yes. No, it's nice because it's it's kind of got the this takes place between basically Yakuza 6 and Yakuza Like a Dragon. It goes back to the old school, which is really not that old. like a dragon fighting style. I'm sorry, Yakuza fighting style, where it's a beat 'em up. You know, you run around, you beat the crap out of people.
Real time.
Real time. It's not turn based. So that's kind of nice. I mean, I still favor that, I think. But the reason I play these games is mostly for the stories, because they're so like outrageous normally, but they're well done, and they do enough to where it's like, you know, they give you little twists and turns, but it's nothing like crazy. You know, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. You know, and it's just fun. But then you get into other stuff where it's like, oh, I got to go, you know, find this guy who's stealing panties. There's another guy that, you know, is just running around with a fig leaf.
They always are in that game series.
All the time. I don't understand it. Japanese sometimes, no offense, they're kind of weird with their culture systems.
No, they are. Yeah.
It's weird. But I like it. You know, I've kind of gotten to the point where I really enjoy it. I'm going to gatekeep here just for Travis and say play it with the Japanese voice and English dubs.
That's not gatekeeping. That's just a bad opinion.
No, it's
you
terrible.
just got blocked by various
Young Ye. Yeah, probably. I know.
Yeah, you're blocked immediately.
I will speak on this because as a big fan of dub, I will say one thing about this game that bothers me is that the dub is, at least where the protagonist is concerned, pretty troublingly low quality. And that makes me a little nervous about Infinite Wealth, because Like a Dragon had very good dub options. Like that was honestly the way to play that game. Like the actors did such a great job. And it was clear that they put, okay, hipsters, calm down.
I agree with Travis. They did the lip sync for English even. I mean,
they did everything. And I think it speaks to like a level of like localization's important. Like it's such a barrier to have. Yeah, like I have a hard time finishing a game that's like tens of hours long, where you have to read subtitles the whole time and hear language that your ears aren't familiar with. And so for me, like if you want to get more people playing this game, if you want the series to be successful, the largest market in the world when it comes to games is English speaking. And I think that the quality of localization they did on Like a Dragon was so good, it set a bar. And this is making me very nervous, because if Infinite Wealth doesn't hit the bar that Like a Dragon did, I'll be pretty disappointed. So it has me a little nervous about how Infinite Wealth is going to turn out. I'm still hopeful for it, but
I don't think this is the real series, right? Like it's hard to track, but like I was surprised, Dan, and I know I've been down this road on a number of episodes with you all, but like this is called Like a Dragon. I was expecting it to be turn-based. It's not turn-based.
Right.
It's the old Yakuza fighting system. Is that what the Gaiden is doing there?
Dude, I have no idea.
No, I honestly think the rule is if it's Kiryu or just basically not Ichiban, it's probably not going to be turn-based, because the whole idea of the turn-based is that it's turn-based because Ichiban played video games as a kid. He played Dragon Quest, and in his head, he thinks that that's what's happening. It's like in a delusion he's having. And so I think if Ichiban is the protagonist, it's part of that franchise. And so, I'm buying these games. I'm playing them. I love the fact that they included a dub at all. They usually don't in the Kiryu games, but just if you're going to localize something, do a better job is really my feedback.
I would agree with that for sure. Even though I don't use it, I agree with you. Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. It's not great.
I haven't heard him. I haven't played this game yet. I
God,
trailers. He's not great.
It's not great.
I've only seen several clips, but oof.
I mean, I feel bad for him. I do. I really do. Because I mean, I think it's a huge opportunity for him. Now, historically, Kiryu isn't really dubbed. I mean, Yakuza, everything.
No, the first Yakuza game they brought over had like celebrities.
Yeah, it was
in all parts.
It was like Mark Hamill. I think did something with it. I think
was Kiryu.
No, I think he was like Majima or something.
That'd be hilarious.
No, but he was. The thing is, I mean, it's like even in like the guy who did Kiryu in Like a Dragon, the turn-based game. So I only think he's done. That's the only one he did. I'm trying to think of another one he did other than that. But I get what you're saying, Travis. I mean, it's a bigger audience. I get why people want to do it. But I also play Ghost of Tsushima in Japanese. Totally.
Yeah, you're a hipster, man.
And then it's not.
Who knew that Dan was the hipster on the panel this whole time?
It just feels more authentic to
me. I do think. Actually,
I agree with Dan.
The English acting is a little bit one note, and I think you get a little bit more from the Japanese acting on that game in particular.
Do you just think that because you don't understand the language and the inflection?
I don't it sounds more emotional.
There you go. Sounds.
Yeah.
Or guessing.
Yeah, that's how I interpret language is sounds. Yes.
Yeah, they get the benefit of the doubt. Is my point though? Is that you don't actually know that they're acting
just like
well.
when you turn on the BBC and everybody sounds fancy, right? it's the British accent. That's fine.
They don't sound fancy to me, but okay.
Well, you can turn on a soccer match, and it's always the one analyst is like the fancy Lord Grantham sounding person, and the other analyst is the one that sounds like they're direct from the kitchen.
Yeah, you got to go Spanish or Mexican if you're going soccer, though. I mean, there's certain regions where it just supports what you're trying to do.
I play Far Cry 6 in Spanish.
I do feel bad for actors that wind up.
Of course, you're in Cuba.
So much better.
That's
I also speak it. So the problem is,
so that's different. If you speak the language, I will never begrudge you for playing in it because I feel like you can understand it.
Yeah, I know.
If you don't understand the language, you're basically just trusting them that the voice acting is better. It could be bad in Japanese too. You don't know. You don't speak the language.
No, sometimes I don't do the dub because I don't like.
But it's also the native development of the game.
So there's lots of native English games that have bad voice acting. It could be bad in Japanese. You're just guessing that it's good.
Yeah, you're guessing it's bad.
You're not guessing that it's good.
No, I'm just saying I don't know because it's not my language. At least if I play it in English, I will know if the voice acting is good or bad. You know what I mean? I understand that language. But yeah, I just
but it's not whether the acting is good or bad. It's what effect it has on you, the player.
Correct. It just feels more authentic.
Yeah, for me, it feels like a language I don't understand.
That is true.
Weirdly, I've never played any games in the foreign languages I speak, which are German and Latin. I don't. There's not a whole lot of room for Latin.
There should have been a Pentiment Latin playthrough.
Yeah, there wasn't. It's unfortunate. So I just chose the wrong languages, I guess, for games.
I also
download them and stuff.
Yeah, you did too. Of course you did, because the lawyer. Yeah.
We took a gigantic tangent here. So how
we
is
still haven't even done currently playing? Just for
I've tried to ask how Like a Dragon Gaiden is, and this is where we ended up. So I was trying to ask about the game.
It's fun. I mean, it's kind of like a little bit of a throwback. I know from what I've heard, it's a little bit shorter. So it was, I guess, supposed to be a DLC originally. So I don't know yet, but there's a lot of side stuff to do. I'm still pretty early. But even the beginning, the opening sequence, like what you're playing like immediately, and you're just like, yeah, it's Kiryu. This is awesome, And he's one of the best characters in games only because of his attitude. He doesn't have to say much. He doesn't really say much at all. And he's just like, okay, you need to go sit down for just a second. I'll take care of this. And the next thing you know, you're just annihilating groups of
Well, he's literally the man with no name now, right?
Yeah,
I mean, he already was, but now he is.
Yeah. It's great. I mean, but I always have fun in that. But I always say when I play games like this, I'm like the worst person to give opinions on them because I'm such a fanboy. Just like Spider-Man 2, Yakuza games. I'm not.
Yakuza 0 is one of my favorite stories.
It's really good.
So
Kiwami or Yakuza 1 was probably just as good for me, and they kind of got away with it, away from it, I think, with like 3 and 4. But I like 5 and 6. It's just weird, But then they got Judgment. You got those games that came out. Those are kind of keeping the Yakuza fans, fed. That like
Judgment's cool. Crazy lawyers hitting people with skateboards is cool. Right. It's a cool genre.
See, that's what I'm talking.
Was that an admission of guilt? I don't know.
Yeah.
No, it's a cool genre of fictional pop culture.
Yes. I just wanted to hear you clarify.
It's absolutely ridiculous, but it's super fun. So which is why I enjoy it.
Fish String said that Like Dragon Gaiden is more like an interim game, kind of like Miles Morales. Think of it that way. Is that fair?
Yeah. Okay. It kind of goes back a little bit, but there's also a demo for Infinite Wealth in it. So
that's why you bought it.
Well, that's part of the reason. I mean, I'm not going to not play it. So, but I think that's going to be. I think that also that demo is kind of a setup for Infinite Wealth, right? So it's kind of going to tell you how Infinite Wealth starts. It's going to get you to that point. But I haven't got that far yet, so we'll see.
Venra, we got a super chat relating to this, by the way. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that up now.
Ben Ray, LOL. How you say that? All right. $20 super
Yes.
chat. Thank you very much. After Judgment and Lost Judgment, all Yakuza games will be called Like a Dragon instead of Yakuza. Apparently, Yakuza was only the name for Western releases. Yeah. Well, Ryu ga Gotoku is Like a Dragon in English. That's basically what it translates to. So their studio name is Like a Dragon, essentially. So it makes sense. Now, then you can decide Gaiden or whatever you want, or the man who erased his name and Infinite Wealth, and it's don't think about it too hard. Sit down and play the damn game, and you'll be fine.
I didn't look at the trailers because I thought Like a Dragon meant turn-based.
No. Yeah, I was gonna say I much prefer the turn-based. So I'm super pumped about Infinite Wealth.
Yeah,
but
that's how I feel about the man who erased his name so far. Is I've not played a lot of it, but so far it's like, all right, this is more of like Yakuza classic. The story didn't grab me as much because I don't know how much there is to explore with Kiryu at this point. You have to tell like self-contained stories that kind of almost aren't about the main characters, right? Or to me, Ichiban is like the way more interesting proposition. I like that character more. I like the turn-based situation more, and I'm just excited to get back into that world. And everything we've seen about it, by the way, it's previewing super well. Some of my friends have played Infinite Wealth and are like, yeah, this game's gonna be awesome. So I'm trying to not look at anything. I don't want to spoil myself, but I'm very excited.
I'm dark on it too. I'll wait for, because it comes out in late January, right? Like it's not far away.
Yeah. February maybe.
They pump out games over there.
I thought it was
crazy.
So let me ask you guys this: you guys obviously prefer the turn-based style, which is fine. I understand.
I like both. I just didn't. I thought that's what this was, and it isn't.
Right.
So that's my mistake.
It's definitely not.
That's why I watch trailers.
Right. So I mean, is it just the gameplay system? Because really, yes, Like a Dragon had a great story, great character development, and all that jazz. And most Yakuza games are kind of the same when it comes to that part. They do a really good job, introducing characters. They do a really good job with the story, and they're very, very similar in structure throughout, even Judgment and Lost Judgment. So is it, then it would have to just be like the gameplay then is what turns you off more than the actual story, because they're pretty much
I told you I loved Yakuza 0. I played the original Yakuzas when they were first brought over, those celebrity ones. I didn't love the series then. It was just a little too floaty for me. I think it's better now. I like the Kiwami versions of 1 and 2. But I'm not super thrilled by that game type. I think their stories are close to the top. We get very few kind of murder mystery noir things in video games, and I think Yakuza does some of the best, and I love their intro videos for what it's worth.
Speaking of which, this one was nuts. Like just getting to the title screen, I was like, damn, that was pretty cool. It's kind of like
they're usually
the Marvel ones. This one was, it reminded me of either like a Marvel where they go into where they show like different clips from different stuff, and I was like, oh, it was new. I had never seen it before, so it was pretty cool.
I think for me, the turn-based in Like a Dragon was just it was very well done. Kind of with the job system and kind of the way you could have them set up to do certain things, and I just love that. It took me back to kind of the age when I really adored JRPGs, and I loved kind of deeper turn-based systems. So that's what turned me on about it. I think you're absolutely right, and you know better than me by a mile of the stories and everything else that goes into them. My biggest problem is I'd like to revisit a bunch of the Yakuza games and kind of really get into them. Again, the biggest problem is always time. It's like, am I going to sit down and just play the Yakuza games when I've got these other 10, amazing games that came out this year alone that I'm behind on? Probably not.
Never going to happen. I get it.
But I finished Yakuza Like a Dragon, right? And so now I'm invested, to Travis's point about Ichiban's story, and I want to, I will make time to continue that.
Yeah, I just like Ichiban's story. I feel like there's more ramp, it's more accessible, and Kiryu's been around for a while, and you really do have to play a ton of games to get everything out of that. And also the fact that most of them aren't dubbed. I don't have no problem playing a subtitled game, but after 40 hours, reading subtitles for 40 hours is pretty tough in a game. especially if
view it the same
action's
as playing
happening
an
while you're
RPG.
fighting. What's that?
I view it the same as playing an RPG, right? Because
Yeah.
most of those don't have voice. We're changing that a little bit, but most of those you're reading through. Like I love the Tales series, the older school Tales games. I love the Trails games, which is not the same as the Tales games, and that's a lot of reading in general. But
Yeah.
I do play these games, Dan. I play Judgment. Those are both the fighting style games,
for sure.
and I think they're great. I agree with Ains. It's like a lot of the time what I've got right now is I'm playing a game and I'm enjoying it. I like it. And I think of what I like a little bit more in the same genre and I switch games over and I get stuck in that kind of loop sometimes.
I'm with you. I understand.
Yeah. Ben Wright, thank you for the super chat, by the way. I appreciate you. All right. So we got a couple other things we'll catch up real quick before we talk about the other notes and stuff. Eleanor says, member comment.
Yeah, whenever I see you discussing stuff, I think you guys should invite a guest host, play a round of pub quiz, top tier entertainment. Don't know what that is, but I'm guessing it's a quiz in a pub. So
yeah, I imagine it's like those TV quiz games that you play at like the old TV.
You play them on YouTube too. Yeah, they play them on YouTube too. Yeah, that's pretty good. Thank you, Eleanor. And Shush,
back again. Any thoughts on N7 Day and Mass Effect teasers? This week we saw some rather angry articles about could you stop edging us, Tim?
I don't think they can because I don't think those games are anywhere near.
Not even
right.
No.
So they started this N7 Day thing as a notion of they'd have stuff to talk about, and they don't.
No, it's just mostly sales on their website for their hoodies and different kinds of collectibles.
Yeah. Well, it's a shame because the new concept art keeps reminding me of Miles Morales. Like I don't know if you all saw like the new poster, but it looks like Miles to me.
It kind of does. That's funny. Yeah, I'm excited about the prospects of what they could deliver, but we've talked about BioWare in this vein before, right? They are currently their next project, right, is Dreadwolf, is Dragon Age, and we don't even have a full trailer, details, release date, anything to do with that. From the people that I've heard from around Mass Effect, right, they're saying this is still years and years away. So it does feel a little disingenuous. Yeah, it feels a little disingenuous. They come out and kind of say, oh, here's some new concept art or here's new this, when in reality, there's nothing coming anytime soon to get excited about. And that does frustrate me a little bit.
Yeah, that was my interpretation of this is when you see a 20-second sizzle trailer for something that was announced years ago, and we've gotten really the only updates we've gotten from them since is all of the updates about their studio being in trouble and this game being in development hell. To me, it's just like that. This just shows that they're either nowhere or they're not confident enough to show us anything. This is years away, I assume, and frankly, I don't know if there's a whole lot left for fans to get excited about, depending on what you liked about BioWare and how much their team has changed and maybe their philosophy has changed. I don't really know. I would not get excited until I've seen a lot more, and certainly this didn't get me excited at all.
No, I think you have to play the new look BioWare games before you can get excited about them as delivering winners every time. They jump the tracks and they're going to have to prove themselves again.
Big time. Yeah. So as we said before, once we see more of Dreadwolf and actually get some real footage and gameplay and release date and that type of thing, we'll have Mark back on, Mark Dara, to talk with us and talk about that, because he said his confidence level in that game was really high. But that was, God, it's already been a while since we had him on, right? And we still don't have anything further on that game.
Didn't he go back? Isn't he working with BioWare now on Dreadwolf?
I honestly don't know.
I think he might be.
I think Dara did go back.
I think he did.
Okay.
So maybe
good for him.
Definitely get some insight.
Yeah, well, if he's allowed to come on and talk about it, it may have changed now.
Yeah.
So.
Oh no. Nice.
All right. God, we've been talking for a while, boys. But what other games? Any other games you wanted to talk about before we jump to the GTA topic?
I got a quick question before we go there. Why don't I have?
Oh boy, go for it.
Why don't what?
We got Hoag's notes. We got Try Guys Travels. I
started the right one about you just being a hitman, but I wasn't coming up.
How
with
about Dan's plans?
Dan's plans. Dan's dementia, because that's where I'm headed.
Dan Mentia.
Yeah, yeah. I still like Only Dan's, but it's probably a different
Only
show.
Dan's.
Only
Yeah.
dance.
Yeah, Dan's Docket.
That's
Hey, I
a
like
very
that one.
niche website.
It's a very mine will be much shorter than both of yours. Usually weekly. And we use them for Ains as well, so this will be even shorter.
Well, I think my notes are pretty chill this week. So I was
No.
definitely playing a lot of Alan Wake 2. I am dragging myself through the middle portion of Spider-Man 2. I got a game on the Xbox sale that I think is primarily a PC game, but is interesting, called Not for Broadcast,
Nice.
where you essentially have to choose things about the news and censor them in specific ways to play through a storyline about politics and what appears to be comedy Great Britain.
Nice.
Okay.
I'm playing The Invincible.
Okay.
After Ains reviewed it, and I think it's an excellent walking sci-fi type game. I'll know more when I get to the end, but I enjoy it a lot. And I'm playing Tales of Arise again. So Tales of Arise was one of my favorite RPGs a little while back, and they released their expansion this last week. So I'm playing through the game again because I don't remember it that well, and then I'll be playing the expansion when I get to it. I'm also playing Diablo 4, but you can just take that as assumed.
Yeah, that's me with Halo. Like, I just don't bring it up because it's not worth bringing up. I'm playing it. Yeah.
Tales of Arise is great. Dan also played, and I believe liked that one too.
He just posted Tales of Arise as he walks away from camera.
We talked before the show. We found out why Dan goes off camera. It's so that he can stand. He's the only one concerned about back health, which is, it's nice. It's admirable. I appreciate it.
Yeah, fair enough. That's cool. What was I going to mention to you? Oh, before I forget, and I did forget for a little while, but I've come back to it. So Katie Cotton, one of our regulars here, asked us earlier in the chat, and the chat now has been lost in the other there. But she basically said she is done investing in PlayStation's ecosystem. Didn't give a reason, but she said, is there any big difference between buying an Xbox Series X and S? And so all I was going to say to you, Katie, is not really, and it depends on how stickler you are for resolution, of course. It goes without saying the Series X is the more powerful machine. It's primarily meant to play in 4K, whereas the Series S is primarily meant to play in 1080p. So if you have a big preference there, that's really it. And of course, the S is only digital, which I think most people are nowadays. But if for some reason you do buy discs, like the ones of us trying to hold out, then you'd want to go with the Series X as well. So I don't think there's really a whole lot to say on that question. I just wanted to make sure I brought it up because she did ask us earlier.
No, I think that's great, and I think the S is an amazing box. But yeah, if you have a 4K TV, you're probably going to want to go for the X.
Yep.
Yeah.
Most homes don't have a 4K TV, especially if you're not like a hardcore gamer or viewer of media. And so the S probably makes more sense since there's basically no difference in terms of performance. But I own 2 Series X's and like 4 Series S's, and
I like how that number grows every week we talk.
I know, dude. I have a problem.
He's like, I have 1 and 2. I have 2 and 3. I have 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Katie says she's rigged for 4K.
Perfect.
Yeah, you probably
get an X if you can afford it. If not, you're not missing out on a ton.
And I would wait, honestly, Katie, wait a week or two for Black Friday deals. There will absolutely be bundles with controllers and games and, all that stuff for a Series X. You'll be able to get it cheaper. Yeah.
So you probably have to wait till Wednesday. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically already starting, but yeah, you get the idea.
Wait for the stampedes.
Punch a few people in Walmart, run over some people with a cart.
That's part of the fun.
It's not worth it.
Oh, it's worth it. I don't even go to buy anything. I'm just there for the
Black Friday event.
It's a battle royale for nothing.
Look, dude, I'm here for I'm the love of the game. That's really all it is for me.
You go with a backpack, helmet on.
Oh boy.
Oh my God. Travis, any other games you want to call out this week?
Yeah, dude, I've been playing a ton of games this week. First, I'll talk about the big one, which is I completed my review for Assassin's Creed Nexus VR, the VR Assassin's Creed game. I can't really talk about it since the embargo lifts on Thursday, but that review's done, bagged and tagged, and I'll be able to talk about that next week. I've been playing a bunch of VR games and just sort of immersing myself in that world. I'm replaying Asgard's Wrath in anticipation of Asgard's Wrath 2. I played some Pistol Whip. I'd never played the campaigns for those, and damn, if you've slept on Pistol Whip, what a
Pistol
great
Whip
like
is amazing, dude.
Casual
Amazing.
VR game, very cool game. Yeah, I've been playing a bunch of games. I beat Thirsty Suitors last night, which I quite liked. It has some parts that kind of bothered me. I think the skating is unfortunately not very good. It's very kind of like
so
can
you give a premise of the actual gameplay? Like, because I don't think if you're like me, many people
the
probably don't know.
gameplay is like basically mini games. Like it's like you have to cook for part of it. It's turn-based combat whenever you do battles, and so it's like you're trying to figure out characters' emotional vulnerabilities, and that gives them weaknesses to your attacks, and then you basically are trying to like figure out who the character is and what their insecurities are, and then use those to beat them in verbal combat, which is told via a turn-based mode. And I think that's all very good. But then there's also like getting around town skate park, like Tony Hawk challenges, which I think are way less successful. There's some like interesting like platforming where you'll wall ride and grind a rail and stuff like that. But like a lot of the like score challenges and stuff just feel very silly and not super successful. And then the main part of the game is that it's a story game about a person who's sort of ruined all their personal relationships, specifically with their ex-boyfriends and girlfriends, and they are going through and basically making amends. And so you have to engage in, verbal combat with these figures throughout your life who you've wronged. And I think it's successful when it is silly, because a lot of these are like very silly. Like you have your first boyfriend was like somebody you kissed in third grade or whatever, and this guy's still obsessed with you and corners you at a diner, and there's like this very funny like combat where he just clearly hasn't moved on, and he's just like the ultimate creepy like dude where you're just like, bro, what's wrong with you?
We've all been there.
I think it's really, well, who doesn't have
right,
dozens of admirers. But yeah, I think it's very successful when it's like silly and over the top, but then it has a lot of moments where like it gets really serious on you, and dare I say preachy. Like it gets like very like, oh, what is relationship and gender and all these other things where you're just sort of like, all right, now I feel like I'm being lectured at for like 30 minutes.
The trailer did seem that way.
And that certainly didn't work as well. It's not that isn't important stuff to learn about, but it just, for me, tonally, it didn't really match the rest of the game that I felt was like intentionally silly and over the top. And then all of a sudden it just sort of like, you're just getting lectured about gender equality.
So in short, we definitely found the game for Dan if he loses.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, he would hate this. It's going to force him to open his mind.
I'm screaming internally right now.
No, he should play Dave the Diver. It's a better game for sure. I'd probably give it a 7 or an 8. Like I largely enjoyed it. I think it's very cool that it does weird and interesting stuff. The Southeast Asian focus is really interesting. My fiance is Southeast Asian, so she like had a lot of kind of commonalities and understood like the weird relationship with the parents and that culture and the family dynamics that were there that I thought was really cool. I didn't get that part of it, but I definitely understood from knowing her family that the dynamics there. So it was very fun in that regard. But yeah, it's a flawed good if you have time for it. Funny game. I think the first half is much stronger than the second half where it gets more serious. And it also like weirdly doesn't have an ending. It just sort of ends. I mean, it has an ending, but then it's like abrupt and you expect other stuff to happen after, and then those things don't happen. So you're just like, all right, it's kind of odd. But yeah, it's a cool game. I played that. What else did I play? I beat like a bunch of games this week. I was pretty proud of myself. I'm on a bender. I'm trying to finish as many games as I possibly can by the end of the year. I'm still working my way through Phantom Liberty. Mirage I started. How could I forget? The main game I've been playing like in my free time when I'm not playing games for review is Talos Principle 2, which continues to be really, really awesome. And I'm determined to finish that one because it just rules. Great. It just rules. It's better than the first one in every possible way. I'm just loving it so far. And then I'm also playing through Forgot it. Forgot this one already.
You
Good
spent all
time.
the brain juice on Talos puzzles.
Yeah,
It's
Talos
gone.
Puzzles has been great. What was the other one? I'm working my way through. Damn it, I'll think of it. But yeah, I'm playing lots of games, and I think I don't really have my. I think my next review might be Asgard's Wrath 2, but I'm trying to see if I can review something else because if I do review Asgard's Wrath 2, I will be at 24 reviews for the year, and last year I did 25, so I'm trying to keep parity if I can hit it. I think exceeding it at this point is basically not an option because it the year's definitely winding down. Most of the reviews are spoken for.
But you have all those games coming out in the next 2 months, right? You can do the Bluey game. You can do the Avatar game.
I think the Avatar game's already spoken for. I probably will play that one though. Actually, it looks kind of good.
It actually looks pretty fun.
Yeah, I think I will play that one. But yeah, I don't. In terms of reviews, I don't know if there's a ton of options. Bang on Balls, I don't think is going to have the appeal required to get a review. Oh, I remember what the other game was. Remnant 2. Remnant 2 is getting its first DLC, and I've been playing that, which again is under embargo, and I can't really talk about it. But it's the new expansion for Losam, which I think comes out this week, maybe in the middle of this week, and so I'll be able to talk about that next week. And good stuff there.
Oh, I forgot I should say that I was playing Dead Island 2 after your review of House.
Nice. Did you play the House part of it or no?
I have House. I have not gotten to it yet. I restarted with a new character.
Nice. Of course you did. Yeah,
I think
isn't it funny? You always think you're going to go back to a character, and you just making a new one is so too tempting.
I really like Dead Island 2.
Yeah, I think Travis and I gave that the same score, or very close.
8?
To the same score.
Both 8s? Yeah,
I don't remember. I think so. Yeah, but anyway. Well, cool. Let's catch up on a couple of these things, and then we'll talk a little Grand Theft Auto. Console Peasant.
Good to see you. There's something unique about the Bitcast. It's probably the smell.
It's Dan.
If there's anything, yeah.
Dan is the unique part.
I don't know.
We are all over the place. That's for sure. But I can almost promise you we talk topics and games that you don't get anywhere else. So there you go.
That's true.
Take that as you will.
Yep.
Yeah, for certainly for worse, but we do that.
Console Peasant, thank you very much. Gamefire, thank you for rejoining as a member. Appreciate you.
No,
not enough green in the chat, says Rain Man, who proceeded to then gift 5 memberships over on the Hogue.
Dang.
Oh, thank you, Rain Man.
Throwing him out there.
Is he Rain Man because he he's
making the memberships reigns? No, different rain. I guess
he has reigns.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it says.
Do you ride horses? Is my question, Rain Man. Is there a I want to know if there's an origin story to this, or if we're just
oh my gosh. All right, boys. So
somebody asked in the chat why I'm not playing Cuisinier yet, and the answer is because it's only on Steam right now, and I don't play those kinds of games on my computer.
I don't even know what that is.
I will get it when it's on Switch.
There you go.
Cuisinier.
Let's go ahead and jump over to Grand Theft Auto. So we get a tweet this week from Rockstar, the old quiet Rockstar, where they talk about their 25th anniversary, and Sam Hauser, who president over there of the Hauser brothers, obviously the one still at Rockstar, finalizes that kind of tweet thread, if you will, by saying that Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer will be shown next month in December. The first,
I wonder where.
Yeah.
The first, we'll talk about that, but the first official word on Grand Theft Auto 6 that we've had, because there's been nothing but leaks for like years now talking about the game.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, that tweet doesn't say Grand Theft Auto 6, does it?
That it says the next Grand Theft Auto something. It doesn't say 6. No.
I assume the name is probably going to be the main part of the announcement, so can't give that away in the promotion.
Vice City 2.
Yeah,
it's what we're. So you already kind of jumped forward on me, Hogue, on a couple of the things I was going to mention. Is we don't know the name. See, if you just let me finish the thought, just let me go.
I'm the
single tweet at the end of the thread, and if you do threaded tweets, you know the end of the threads usually get less attention. The single threaded tweet has 170 million views. And 1.5 million likes. It is the attention that a single tweet from Rockstar about Grand Theft Auto can garner is just mind-boggling.
That's all my
I think,
tweets, man. 70 million, for sure.
Yeah. But anyway, so to Hoag's point, there's a couple things we do know about the game and a couple things I wanted to talk about the game. So the things we don't know is that there's a lot of assumption it's going to be called Grand Theft Auto 6, obviously after 5. Personally, guys, I don't know about you. I don't think it will be. I don't think it'll be called 6. I think it'll either have a name or it'll just be Grand Theft Auto. What do you guys think?
Grand Theft Auto Infinite, I think, is what they're going to go with. And just,
I mean, Halo nailed it, so why not?
Do it.
So.
Do it.
Where are you placing your bets? Come on.
6 has a lot of cachet
Sure.
online, but I don't think it matters what they call it. So I wouldn't be surprised if they call it something completely different.
I think it'll be called Grand Theft Auto 6. I think they probably would be not. I think it would probably be a bad move for them to not do it, and I think they know that. Like, it's Grand Theft Auto. Yeah, it kind of doesn't matter what they call it, but Grand Theft Auto 6 would be the biggest splash possible, and what could they possibly be working on except that? So, I think it'll be that, and then I think it'll maybe be like, will Grand Theft Auto Online continue in 6, or will it be like a fresh reboot? I'm not really sure about that, because they do sell Grand Theft Auto Online.
But we're getting there
now. So
we're getting there.
Interested in that. Grand Theft Auto Ragnarok. No.
Shoosh.
Oh, we'll get to that. Dan, you didn't say. Place your bet.
Oh, I thought I said Infinite. I mean, I don't know whether probably just GTA.
Obviously,
GTA
we don't
6.
know.
I mean,
God damn, guys overthink shit.
Well, there's so many leaks. We might know. I might have forgotten that we already know the name.
I think it's
Jesus Christ.
6 or it's Vice City 2.
It's gonna be Vice City 2. I don't think that'll happen. But I mean, they kind of went away from it for a little while, and they came back to 5. They went to 4, 5, and now maybe they'll Vice City. Maybe they'll call it, I don't know, Miami.
I think 6 has too much street cred to avoid. They're not going to call it Miami because Vice City is Miami.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and what we know of the game, right? The leaks, if you haven't been paying attention to this, the leaks that have come out about this game is that it does take place in Miami in modern day. It's kind of got the Vice City-like theme, right, from Miami, but it's modern day, not the 80s. The main protagonists seem to be a woman named Lucia, and
what
a
about
guy named
Vice, says the chat. See, I like Vice if you take the word Vice.
You literally just started talking in between a sentence. What are we doing?
Oh, I gotta mute myself. Hold on. I'm about to pass out.
Take the Vice and you stylize the V in the I. Like Biohazard. No, that's my fault. I do apologize. I would like to point out that I do have reduced inhibition.
Are you drinking? What's happening? Oh man, I literally.
Oh man, actually, given the reduced inhibition, I'd love to see Hoag drinking now. That would be.
Oh my god!
Right.
Man.
Yeah.
I bet you.
Oh my god.
Doesn't strike me as a drink.
I don't even know what the hell I was saying now.
We were explaining the protagonist
and listening to the chat. And
the protagonist. Yes.
It is hard to not interrupt people on a chat. Like I feel like people underestimate that.
Well, yeah, because you're reading along with our audience, so it does get tough. I get it.
No, it's my
anyway. Yeah, so the main protagonist seems to be multi-protagonist again, like 5. A woman named Lucia and a guy named Jason. The latest rumor I saw is that Lucia will have a child that will play a part in the story. It's in Miami. It's going to be on the updated Rage engine. So that's like Rockstar Accelerated Game Engine. That's what it stands for. That was used for Red Dead 2, of course, but obviously probably has, expanded upon since then. I guess the big questions I was going to ask you guys just for conversation point is Travis kind of jumped on this one, which is GTA Online makes billions of dollars. And it's been, it's constantly being updated. It's probably a big part of the reason we didn't get this game earlier. So I have to assume, and maybe I shouldn't, but I think I would assume that GTA Online will just carry forward into this game in some vein, right? With all the content that's been created and sold and marketed moving forward, don't you think?
Yep.
Well, isn't GTA Online in whatever the heck Los Angeles is.
San
Los
Andreas.
Santos.
Yeah, it's in Los Santos,
Oh,
but
yeah,
I mean, the ability to just like create a new map for it, I could see that being a possibility. Also, they sell it separately, so
Yes.
yeah, I think there's a possibility maybe we'll get like a refresh or a 2.0, but I could also just see them keeping it around, and maybe popping a new map in there or something like
Why
that.
wouldn't they sell it again?
Well, I think it'll come with. I mean, GTA Online came with GTA 5, so I think that'll
Kinda.
certainly be true for 6. But yeah, I mean, the people who own online, if they only own online, are gonna have to buy something else, I'm sure.
Yeah. But there's a lot of content. Obviously, people have invested tons and tons of money in this kind of online. It's almost like an MMO, right? It's like GTA MMO at this point. So it's like,
really
I'm
bad
sure
MMO.
I'm sure they have to figure out a
Whoa.
way to carry that content forward.
Yes, it's
in
a
some
really
form.
bad MMO, Travis. That's what I said.
It's what? What's wrong with GTA Online? You don't like it?
It's bad.
Whoa!
It's not a good game.
Wow.
There's our clip for this week.
I didn't know we had a GTA hater up in here. GTA Online is a very good time, but I don't need to say that.
I haven't played GTA Online in probably 8 years, so I
mean,
have no
it was
idea.
pretty rough at the beginning, obviously, before
Yeah.
it had like proper story and the online was busted for like 3 weeks or whatever. But
I think
it's really good
all,
now.
First of all, you have to understand that I don't much care for Rockstar storytelling. So bifurcated, terrible online Rockstar storytelling is just the worst of all worlds.
Oh man.
Man,
Oh,
I like Spicy Hogue.
bad takes.
hilarious.
So we might as well jump to that then. In that vein, what do you want from the story? So given that Grand Theft Auto 5 went to the multi-protagonist approach, right, with the 3 guys, you say you don't like the story. You also, correct me if I'm wrong, Hogue, you didn't care as much for RDR2.
RDR2 is a better story. It's just overwrought and too long.
Okay.
Grand Theft Auto 5 is a cynical piece of trash.
Oh man.
Also known as satire. It's great satire.
It is not. It isn't even good satire.
Yeah, it
Like,
is.
It is. There are middle schoolers writing better satires about modern society than Rockstar did in Grand Theft Auto 5.
Show me some of those middle schoolers' work, and I'll believe you. You won't.
I will. They're in Hogue House.
You won't. You won't do it. Show it to me. Show me the middle schooler.
Oh my
Back
god.
up your claim, sir. Bluff called. Citation needed. Yeah. So
Here's the deal. I don't like their storytelling, so I'm probably not the right person to ask. But if I were to get a Grand Theft Auto 6 that I wanted, it would be far less cynical and far less convinced of its own righteousness.
Isn't that its shtick, though? I mean, isn't that what Grand Theft Auto is being like over the top, cynical, and
yes,
basically
it's
picking on
satire of
everything?
American culture.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it's up its own ass. I don't think that they think that they're righteous. I think they are just like throwing rocks at it without any sort of like solutions. And I think that's the joy of it, right? Is that it's just like utter satire and pessimism with no they're not like making suggestions of what
they're not saying this is the way it should be. They're saying
yeah,
this is how
exactly.
horrible
They're
it
just
is.
being like, hey, this is what we think. This is
yes,
the worst
nihilistic
version of that.
cynicism is much better than solution-oriented cynicism. No, and especially not when you're selling multi-billion-dollar products into the world, right? Like half of their stuff is, oh, it's too commercialized and we have too much money driving decisions. And oh, by the way, here's our 12 years of telling you this cynical message while we make billions of dollars doing it. I find it to be sad that
I don't know if
people are the most excited about this particular series in video gaming, because I think it's pretty much the worst, most kind of cancerous type storytelling in the industry.
Yikes.
Wow.
Yeah, I think if you are looking at them and going, oh, they're preaching to me about like, over consumption or whatever message you took from it, you're looking in the wrong place for your messages, because that's really not their message. Their message is that is bad, and also the opposite is bad. They make fun of like European models. If you listen to the radio shows, like they make fun of the conservative take and the liberal take and everything in between. And I feel like that's their whole shtick, is they're just like, look, we're just gonna make fun of it all and not really care about what message you take from that. You can kind of just enjoy yourself and have a laugh, and that's the purpose. It's a sandbox in its purest form in a lot of ways. And then the proper story that they tell, I think, maybe has more of a message in terms of what they're trying to deliver, but I think it's more based around the characters and not about like larger societal problems. It's like, Grand Theft Auto 5 to me is the sandbox is a satire of American culture, and the story is really just about like machismo, right? It's about like the toxic.
The story is boring, right? I mean,
Jesus Christ.
The story. What is interesting about the Grand Theft Auto 5 story? They don't do anything with the gangster lead. Trevor is the one that took everybody. What do they do with that character arc?
I don't even remember it.
He
It
goes
was
through
10 years ago.
No, I played this game multiple times. The campaign's awesome. He goes through therapy, and I think it's really about him reconciling with his friends that he feels that he's wronged or betrayed. There's like a lot of stuff between Trevor and Mike, and I man, that story is awesome. It's just fun and silly, and you feel bad for Trevor, even though he's a psychopath, and you definitely shouldn't root for him.
I do not feel bad for Trevor.
You don't feel bad for him?
No.
He's like a mental case.
It's actually funny, guys, because there's people in the chat saying I agree with Hogue 100%, and there's other people saying I can't agree with Hogue at all here. So this is definitely more of a divisive topic than I thought it would be. I didn't realize.
It's a popular series.
Oh, I know. It's incredibly popular. I just didn't realize there were this broad of opinions about it. Maybe I'm somewhere in the middle, I guess.
I really find the Rockstar universe approach to be discomforting.
I think
right? I find it. No, I find it to be as its existence, not the story that they're trying to tell within their universe. I find it to be a message that is poorly told and cancerous.
I don't think there's a message. I think that maybe is your first mistake.
Well, okay. Well, then if your message is there are no messages, and isn't it sad that we all live in this society and there's nothing that can be done about it? So why don't we blow everything up?
I think again, you're putting a message to a game that doesn't have one. Like, really, it's just, hey, here's a sandbox where you don't have to feel bad about your actions because nothing matters, and also we're going to make you laugh. Like, that's kind of just the whole shtick. And then I don't like South Park playground. Yeah. I mean, we've talked about this before. How I consider you largely humorless, right? Like you don't really jive with comedy games, and I get that. That's fine. I'm a former comedian that really enjoys
my gosh,
funny stuff. And to me, you don't have to read into it. It doesn't have to play into a larger, social commentary. It's really just it's satire. It's fun. Go crazy.
Hopeless nihilism is a bad thing. I think it's a bad look, and I think it's bad in this video game and in other places.
So let me ask this. Let me rephrase this. Do each of you play Grand Theft Auto like whenever this comes out? Right? Are you going to be buying it at launch and playing through it, the story?
I mean, probably, assuming it's not just only an online game. Yes.
Okay. So what are you looking for when you go in knowing your expectations that we're talking through, right? When you go in and you buy that game, you sit down to play it. Why are you playing it?
Because they have the best sandboxes in video games. But my hope is that their storytelling is more like 4 than it is like 5.
Okay.
I go in largely.
And that's what I'm asking.
I want to see the writing and the comedy and the weird stuff that they put in the game. And
I think their comedy is terrible.
Yeah, I know, but your opinion is bad. We've gone over this, right? Like, you don't know what you're talking about when it comes to comedy, and I do, and I think that's the difference here. Is one of us has studied it, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, they have accolades for their writing and their comedy for a reason. They're very good at it, and
because people can't tell good comedy from bad, but they know that there's a lot of it.
Show me good comedy then.
I
mean,
wasn't
what is the
expecting this
hope?
today, but I appreciate you both.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that, you know, I go there because I want to listen to the radio station while I go on crazy adventures and hear some good jokes, and I want to see what things that they pick on, you know, because there's a lot to work with. Like if you look at the world when Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, like the things that they made fun of back then versus what they have to work with now, I think is going to be funny. Like I don't really know what to expect, but obviously they have a lot to work with. A lot has changed in that time. But yeah, I'm interested to see where they go with that. I just want to see what they do. Show me something.
Well, yeah,
new,
I think I kind of in line with Hogue. I don't play Grand Theft Auto for the story. For me, it's the sandbox, right? It's they're gonna. I have no doubt, especially knowing what they built with Red Dead 2, which I've talked about ad nauseum, right? I have no doubt that whatever this game is, it's going to have the most impressive open world we've probably ever seen. I would be willing to bet on that. And I think that excites me because I love seeing what they create and everything that goes into it and how you interact with it. And to some degree, what Travis says around what they show off, what they do, there's lots of nuances to, or not nuances, but there's lots of things in a Grand Theft Auto game that, I kind of look for enjoyment. I don't personally put a lot of weight into the storytelling or their cynicism of modern culture. It's part of the game. It's part of the shtick, like I said, but it doesn't matter to me how they do that, because that's not why I play Grand Theft Auto. But you
do play it for like the levity, right? Like you just go in there and you know you're gonna.
I know it's just sandbox. Yeah, it's just it's a big open box of tools that I can just play around with and not worry about anything. And I find that fun.
Like the best joke in GTA 5 is the thing that made me laugh the most is, you know, you see the cop car go by and then you realize the cop car doesn't say serve and protect, it says obey and survive, you know, and just stuff like that. Where you're just like, dude, that's so like it's perfect for the GTA world, and it's a funny joke. They put stuff like that in the game. Like GTA 5 had this like 30-minute tour you could go on. You could get on a tour bus and just ride around for 30 minutes through Los Santos and get a full tour from a tour guide. That they just put that in the game. I mean, talk about like scope and creep of like just no other company except for Rockstar could afford to put something so frivolous.
That's the other thing that excites me.
No one is gonna see, right? Like they just put that in there just for the weirdos that were gonna happen to come upon it, and I just think that's super funny and weird. And it's just I
agree with you, because I get excited by little things like that 99.9% of people don't care about. Like someone posted a clip from Red Dead 2 last week about like the chef at your camp, and he was chopping up a loin chop or whatever the heck it could be. But it was like, it's so incredibly detailed. Like, you know, he lines it up properly and chops it up in cubes, and you can see the cartilage in the meat and puts it in the bowl. And it's like, no one's looking at that. But Rockstar probably had multiple designers take whatever it was of effort to make sure that looked realistic, you know. And I think that's kind of cool, and I look for that stuff in those games. I think it's fun to look for. But they just make games like no one else. And even if it's not my game of the year, even if it's not like GTA 5's not on my list of favorite games of all time, Red Dead 2 is, but they just make games like nobody else, and I think that's exciting.
I think, was GTA 5 on my list? I think it probably was. I can't remember.
It's your list. Why are you asking us?
I don't know. I just can't remember if it was on it.
I don't know what your list is.
That game's awesome, dude. Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh no, I had a lot of fun with it. I kind of land the same thing. There's nothing about that story that I look back on. Like I remember Red Dead story, and I remember moments in Red Dead 2, and 1 for that matter. Grand Theft Auto 5, you could ask me about that story. Well, you just did right now. I don't remember a single thing about it.
Really? That's crazy to me. Damn. I mean, I remember it because it was so odd and weird. There are moments in that campaign that like stick in my mind forever. If you haven't played it recently, you should go back and play it. It's such a weird game.
I don't think that story comes together at all.
Yeah. I mean, look, people come to games for different things. I think people who come to Grand Theft Auto know what they're getting largely, and it delivers that thing, right? It delivers the sandbox, the kookiness, the off the wall and off color jokes and dark comedy. And sure, a little bit of nihilism and certainly a lot of pessimism. But if you're not the type, if you're the type of person to laugh in the face of that rather than let it internalize it and make
But you keep saying they're good jokes. I find them to be like the least subtle Wayne's World-esque parody jokes on earth, right?
Wayne's World.
The police car that you just mentioned, the fact that the pointer on the internet is a middle finger, like these are not funny to me. It's the worst elementary
Obey
school
and
joke
survive on the side of a police car isn't funny to you?
No, it's an elementary school joke.
Humor not detected, sir. You failed the course.
I graduated from 6th grade a while back, Travis. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Look,
man.
I mean, it's not for everybody. Some people they like to put themselves above comedy as if they're above it. But there's nothing immature about liking a joke, that something that makes you laugh. And I think different strokes for different folks. I certainly, there's a certain type of people I think would be more fun at a party, but that's just me.
Oh,
What
my
can
God.
I say?
You're a dad with kids, you just maybe not the target audience for it. That's fine.
I do say
Have
not
fun at
everything's made
church,
for me.
I'm a dad with kids. Can I play it?
Yeah.
All right, let's get the only other thing before we get to the super chats is this is a leak that I think is just assumed, but is that the map, they've had some map leaks that include like Daytona, right, the racetrack, and so the whole kind of southern Florida area there that looks like they're piecing together, probably like they did Los Santos in relation to Los Angeles. I would assume is going to be in that vein, but what they're saying is that this will be, obviously, given 2023, much more of a live service game, especially with GTA Online, and the map will expand over time. So they will add regions to it, and it'll kind of grow over time. So that's just an assumption I think that's being made, but I think it should probably be assumed that with GTA Online and how much money that makes, along with this game releasing now in 2023, as Travis said, the environment is vastly different than the late Xbox 360 generation when GTA 5 came out. That live service will play a pivotal role in this game to some degree.
They pushed the 360 tech like way harder than it should have been.
Yeah, that game and Halo 4 were marvels on the 360.
I
it
think
had 512 megabytes of RAM. It didn't even have a gig of RAM, that console, and GTA 5 runs on it.
Yeah, I mean it even in the 360 era, I think it ran incredibly well. It's it is what it is. I'm very excited for it, and it's if you think that the comedy is sophomoric, I would say you don't have to be smart to laugh at a lot of the jokes in GTA, but you got to be stupid not to, right? That's the way I think of it. Like,
well,
it's not like they're all up there, but
Well, I guess my point is you don't even need to care about the jokes to enjoy GTA, right? You can just have fun in that game regardless of the humor, if you will.
But I think the reason the sandbox succeeds is because it's filled with
how great
it does. It's very upfront about it. Yes. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's catch up on Super Chat.
Go ahead, Dan. Real quick, do we get a performance mode for these new consoles?
I think I don't. I think you have to have 60 frames in this game.
Didn't GTA 5?
GTA got updated.
Come out with
I don't think
they also.
I think you're gonna get a global illumination, 30 frames per second game. I think it's gonna be a Starfield type situation.
The other interesting thing
we
too,
get a first-person mode because they added that to GTA 5.
Yes, I think that'll be a first.
I think that'll be there by default. So the rumor is, trailer next month. With the leaks said that it's expected to release third quarter 2024, but a delay could be likely to 2025. So all we know, this game could still be a little ways out, which then leads to the question of, okay, let's say it does release in 2025. We could be an environment where we have whatever the new GPUs are, of course, right? The annual GPU release. But there's very, very credible leaks that we're getting a PS5 Pro next year. So it'd be kind of interesting if we get a PS5 Pro, but not a updated Xbox hardware wise in terms of power, what GTA does on those systems and PCs as well. And of course, remember that traditionally Rockstar does not release on PC at launch. It's usually console first. So it'll be interesting.
Transparent about why, by the way. I don't know if you know this. They're like, because we don't want our games stolen. They're like, people on PC are thieves, and so we will be releasing on console for the first year, and then on PC later once we're okay with a certain amount of thievery happening, which I think is just very funny.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that happens. Yeah. But anyway, I think there's little doubt in anyone's mind that whatever this is, whenever it drops, it will be the biggest game launch probably in history. It's going to be really interesting to see kind of the sales records it breaks, because
it'll be a big game.
Yeah,
it is interesting how long GTA has been an important game, because like basically for as long as I've been alive.
GTA 3 changed the game when it came out on PS2. Like, I mean, I remember first seeing it and playing it, and I'm telling you, just anecdotally, everybody I knew went out and got a PS2 to play that
same
game.
With Vice City. Vice City, I was like really young when that game came out, and everyone was playing that. Even, they weren't supposed to. Your mom wouldn't let you or whatever. Like, people found a way to get that game. Same with San Andreas, same with GTA 4. Yeah, dude, I've just got a lot of memories of this game. Like, when I was really young, and then when I was like in high school, going to like the midnight release of GTA 4, stuff like that. It's just it's crazy how long they've managed to remain relevant.
4 is a much better game than 5. I will stand by that.
Yikes!
I know there's a lot of people that like 4 better from a protagonist and story perspective, but I think as a game, 5's a much better game. But I'd have to go back and play them to argue the story. I don't remember either of them, honestly. So
4 is pretty disappointing.
I think one of the funny things about 4 was it come out right on the cusp of the smartphone era, so it had kind of these weird like dynamics where you pull things up like old school. I'm trying to remember now, but I think it looks dated, like going back.
I mean, it felt very New York. I feel like New York is always a little bit behind. That's my perspective. I live in California, but like like technologically, they have like old industries and stuff. So
no scoop bagels.
Yeah, it felt to me like it was a little on point. I was like, yeah, they're a little bit behind. And then going to GTA 5, it felt extremely Californian, like where everything was like just too much, like where technology turned the state into a wasteland. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with. I mean, if they are doing it in Vice City, which is supposed to be Miami, I mean, there's a lot to work with in Florida these days.
Well, I mean, I think that's why we saw the leaked maps, which is Miami, Vice City, and some of the like northern part of South America. Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to do some drug cartel stuff, would be my guess.
Cool.
Go for it.
Yeah. Shocking.
Yeah.
Really breaking the mold there, Rockstar.
They don't break the mold.
No, they're not.
They break the mold with their engine and world, not the stuff you guys are talking about.
Well, they have a formula that works, but I think the jokes and the parody and what do they do? Will they have something interesting to say or make fun of? I imagine crypto will be in it. They got to do something.
Oh, they're going to make fun. I mean, the wealth of stuff they're going to pick on and put in the game is going to be.
Yeah. Well, there's always that question of like, is satire even like, has it become irrelevant with how satirical reality is?
Reality is now. Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I tend to think it still has a place, but I'm a big believer in comedy.
I have to think they'll go more political as well. Have more commentary on politics.
Oh yeah,
as well.
Maybe.
I bet they will.
Sometimes they kind of veer away from that. Like I kind of felt like 4 had more like overtly political jokes than 5, and 5 was more just sort of like culture, making fun of like the culture and stuff. So I think they could go either way. Honestly. We'll see.
Yeah. Let's catch up on these super chats.
Shush. Grand Theft of Auto Ragnarok.
Please no.
The joke that keeps on giving.
Yeah, it does.
You can put Ragnarok behind anything, and at this point, I'm going to say please no.
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually not the worst title.
Grand Theft of Auto Ragnarok.
Like, does it like if their pitch was, hey, it's Grand Theft Auto, but like we're canonizing that it's end times. Like I'm kind of like, honestly, that could kind of work. They could pull that off.
It sounds like a Double Fine game.
Oh, by the way, we didn't get to Hogue, you mentioned this right at the start when I started talking about Grand Theft Auto. So some people are assuming that the trailer is going to be at the Game Awards. I don't think it's going to be. Where are you guys at on that?
Oh, I think there's a teaser for it at the Game Awards with the first like little bits of showing it to send you to the Rockstar event later that week.
Okay, that could be.
I mean,
I don't think we get the full trailer at the Game Awards.
Maybe I'm way off base here. There's a strong possibility of it, but just based on the leaks that we saw last year, I kind of think even 2025 is early prediction for this game.
I mean, we don't know, right? We don't know. I started kind of going through the most recent leaks, from a bunch of places to get this info, and all it said is, mid to late 2024. But someone, one of the other leaks said that they are very well aware that could slip to 2025.
I'm just wondering if
but that's just throwing darts at a fucking wall. Oh, excuse me, at a wall.
We got 2 in on this show, guys. Honestly, that makes me feel better. I feel like it's not just me now. It's like, all right.
I'm just glad it wasn't me.
Yeah. My normal speaking came out momentarily. Apologies.
Yeah, me too. I would love to hear how vulgar people are when they're not on camera. Like,
no, you don't.
Dan, I feel like curses when he's angry. Ains, I feel like uses it conversationally. Hogue, I feel like he's still waiting to get his first curse out. And me, I feel like you guys would be shocked by how much I curse off camera.
Yeah, I curse all the time. I don't even think it's just words. I mean,
it's just whatever. I don't believe in bad words. I never did. It got me in trouble a lot in high school. I was like, there's no such thing as a bad word. It's strong language.
I think it's a Euro Trip. You remember that old goofy movie? Hilarious movie, by the way. But Euro Trip, where he goes to England and they're with the soccer hooligans and they're talking, and the American kid looks at him and goes, "You guys are on a whole different level of swearing over here." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's pretty much. It's part of the conversation."
They're ahead of us in certain areas and then way behind us in others. It's just very different, like bars in terms of what is acceptable and what isn't.
Look at Shoosh in the chat. I'm not saying that out loud. Grumpy Shaman.
Grumpy Shaman. The $5 super chat. There's a classic Seinfeld TV show line.
Yep.
These pretzels are making me thirsty.
Classic.
Who among you guys can deliver a better rendition of this line?
I still say that because I'm very dated in my jokes.
Me too.
I still say that with my wife.
Dude, I also say that. So I don't know if you're dated, honestly. I think it's just classic.
I mean, Seinfeld's classic.
Yeah.
I like George's. I like George's the best because he's like angry. He's like, "These pretzels are making me thirsty."
That's the best.
I like the angry version.
Answer. Yeah. That's the correct answer.
But that could, I don't know, say something else about me that we won't get into. Anyone else want to say it, or are we going to move on here? I think
I'm good.
I can't say it. I'll wind up doing it like Kramer for 30.
Yeah. My question about this contest is the goal to say it the most like Kramer, or is the goal to deliver it the best way based on our artistic decision?
Yes.
Yeah.
So one of the best. Dano just reminded me we could do a whole show on Seinfeld, but his car reservation bit, where they don't have the car, and she's like, "Sir, I know why we have the reservation." He's like, "I don't think you do."
I don't think they do. I'm sorry, but Larry David is right like most of the time. And if that's
great,
it tells you everything that you need to know about my personality. But like, I'm the guy who watches Curb Your Enthusiasm, and I'm like, Larry's got a point. He's got a point. I mean, this is not okay what they're doing here.
Yeah. Oh my God. Shaman, thank you for the super chat. Logan in the house.
Captain Logan with the $5 super chat. It'll be a Grand Theft Art and will focus on the theft of artistic properties online by AI companies as a detective visual novel pivot.
That's a lot of words thrown into one sentence there together.
That is a very bold guess.
Yes.
Extremely wrong.
I like where your mind's at. I don't think that's going to happen.
Oh my God.
Alan Wake in Grand Theft Auto 6.
Oh man. That'd be great though. I kind of want to play that game. I'll be honest with you. They should do a spin-off.
By the way, the reservation keeps the car here. I feel like the modern version of that I see is like, have you ever gotten like a reservation or an appointment for a specific time and then you get there and they make you wait?
Yes.
I literally just
drives me nuts
about that.
That's like, dude, I put this time aside and you guys agreed to it. I got here early and then you guys are like 10 minutes after.
Yes.
Hurts me.
Drives me nuts.
I've actually said the George line where it's like, "Oh, you guys are canceling my okay, that's $75 for my time, because that's what you guys charge for canceling if I cancel. So we just kind of reverse it. They did not like that, and I had to
Oh
finally.
yeah, because you just got messed up by the window, right? They gave you
Fridge.
a window.
Fridge.
Oh,
The fridge.
yeah, he
window
means the timing.
The
window
delivery
timing.
window.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The delivery window.
Yeah,
Actually,
they
I
had-
think South Park. Speaking of South Park, they did an episode about delivery windows, and it's like a bunch of Comcast guys like going out to strip clubs and picking up fast food and just like not working during the delivery window, and then they start to think about coming over right at the end of the window, which frankly is my experience. Like they're always there at the very end of the window that you booked them for.
Yeah, I got $200 off whatever I bought. So
oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's better than usually you get from those people.
Yeah. The last
Logan,
person I talked to was reasonable. I'll just say that.
There you
Unlike the other people. So.
Arctic Wolf 199 with a super sticker, £1.99. It's just a heart. So thank you very much, Arctic Wolf.
Yay!
Appreciate you for that. Shush is back again.
Yeah, Bitcast number 280, GTA 6 announced, PP poo poo of the year. Nice.
I'm gonna save that title. We'll see how close. 280. Yeah, I don't know. It's only 2 months from now. I don't think we're gonna know at that point. But
it's gonna be announced in December.
Yeah,
we know that.
That's true. We're not gonna get a date though. I can promise you that.
No.
I mean, I think we'll get the early Red Dead trailer of just shots of the sandbox, and we're working on it.
Yep, exactly. Shush, thank you as always, and shout out to Katendra, who became a new member over on the channel.
Welcome.
I think I pronounced it. All right.
By the way, I recently found out that
Huh? I forgot to take it off the screen. I'm sorry. There you go. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I recently found out that there's like a pretty substantial group of people who watch this show at 2 times speed.
Yes.
Regulars. And so now I've started to wonder if part of the reason people hate me is because my delivery doesn't land. Timing matters, If you watch somebody at 2 times speed, like, do I sound like even more of a jerk at double time? Because I feel like you've got to watch certain things at the speed they were intended for, right? Like you wouldn't watch like a really dramatic movie. You wouldn't watch The Godfather at 2 times speed. And I know people who do that, like engineers who are really valuable, really like strict on their time. They'll be like, yeah, I watched that movie. I watched it at 4 times speed. Just people talk too slowly for my brain. And I'm just like, ugh, first of all, gross that you said that sentence. But also like some things like spaces matter. Like sometimes when they're saying nothing, that matters as much as when they're saying something, and there's pacing.
Shouldn't the spacing stay relative?
What's that?
I mean, your delivery is based on pauses from your delivery. Same with The Godfather or anything else. The pacing will stay the same. It'll be a shorter break, but it'll be shorter compared to shorter sequences of talking.
But I think the erroneous assumption is that the spaces where they aren't talking or where they're talking slower are less important. And I would say that that's not true. I would say sometimes those are the important moments. It's weird that we have this conversation, but my point is, as with all things, timing matters.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you're saying. But I don't agree that that's why people hate you.
No, I don't either. I know exactly why people hate me. I'm focus tested to be hateable. This is true. It's kind of my brand. But my point is, I'm wondering if I wonder how many of our jokes don't land, and people just think that we hate each other because they watch it 2 times speed and it doesn't translate. You know what I mean? That's my thinking.
Yeah. I don't get the 2 times thing though. I get the time, of course, trying to save time and consume more, but like, it's just not enjoyable to me. I've tried it. And I'm like, oh, this is annoying. Like, I don't know. That's just me.
But also, aren't these people also saying that the shows are too slow or too short and that they should be like 5 hours long?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know what the overlap there is.
Pick a lane, guys.
No, they want you to deliver 5 hours of content that they want to consume in 2.5 hours. Why not?
That's wild to me.
There you go.
Hey,
wild.
A couple other things I want to mention. So wanted to get your guys' thoughts real quick on just Modern Warfare 3. So report, from Mr. Schreier over at Bloomberg on that, we talked previously, and I thought this was rather common knowledge, but I guess maybe people didn't know. But like, there wasn't originally supposed to be a Call of Duty campaign this year. Like, they were going to take a year off and just add to the multiplayer suite and new Warzone map for 2023. Then we get announced that we're going to get Modern Warfare 3 this year. And now what's been uncovered, of course, is that was a big shift internally at Activision. It was handed to Sledgehammer, and they were given approximately about 18 months to complete this kind of campaign and zombies to go along with Warzone and DMZ that's sitting out there. So, we talked about the review last week. IGN gave it a 4. We gave it a 5. A lot of, the overall consensus on the campaign is it's ridiculously short, rehashed. It's not very good. Now I'm hearing that the zombies mode is pretty much DMZ with zombies, which makes sense, right? You're kind of reusing assets. And then, of course, the multiplayer is Modern Warfare 2 maps remade, which I'm pretty excited about. Modern Warfare 2 was a kind of seminal moment in multiplayer competitive gaming, but everything kind of we've heard about.
When you say Modern Warfare 2 remade, you don't mean the last game's maps. You mean the original Modern Warfare 2?
Correct. Map? 2009. Yes. Sorry. Yep. Good clarity. Which is exciting for people who really kind of dug the modern or the Call of Duty era back then, right? So I get all that, but it's pretty clear that this was not the plan long term for how this game should have been made. Infinity Ward didn't even get to finish their kind of story arc with Modern Warfare 3, and I would say it's pretty much consensus that the campaign was a pretty big letdown along with other things. So I guess the question, if I have one here, and I don't really know, it's more of a philosophical thing, but games like Call of Duty, the IP, they make so much money every year. They're going to sell no matter what. The vast majority of people buying this game have no idea about any of this, right? They don't follow game development or listen to Bitcast or anything else. So they're just going out, they're seeing the new Call of Duty, they're buying it, they're probably having a good time with it. Great. But I guess my question is, can anything be done about this? Like, is there anything from an industry perspective that is going to prevent these types of things happening in the future? Or is this just this kind of harsh reality because we know how the sausage is made that we have to deal with forever, where people are crunched, where the IP is kind of trashed, and they still go out and sell a $70 game, 20 million copies of it, because just vast majority don't know any better and still enjoy it regardless.
Well, I'm still an optimist, so I will tell you the story that I think happens here, which is that, yeah, people don't pay attention to that, but they do pay attention to what their last experience was with the product that they bought. And
Sure.
So it's always a tail kind of effect, right? They were still on board with the Modern Warfares. They liked 1, they liked 2, presuming this story. They wind up not liking 3. They'll remember that when the next one comes along. So it's not in any company's best interest to have this kind of release in their pipeline with their major product name
Continually.
So I don't think you'll have that happen as a kind of race to the bottom. This is all games ever are. You'll have this occasionally happen because there will be Activisions out there that run their studios as hard as they possibly can to release a game annually, and sometimes it doesn't work out. But to the extent that they keep doing this, and we wouldn't expect them to, 1, because they're under new management now, but 2, because this isn't the way to run a business, you would say they'll fix it the next time, or they won't, and then they'll blow up their own golden goose. But nobody wants to blow up their golden goose, so there are protections there because they are trying to keep the customer happy. And while you might not see that in the sales for this game, I would expect to see it in the sales for the next game.
Yeah, I think at a certain point, like, they built up so much goodwill that they're able to occasionally have fails and it doesn't really affect them. But you can turn your reputation into being high quality to low quality really quickly. I mean, look no further than we were just talking about Marvel, right? Like, they were at the top of their game. Everybody was like, heck yeah. Now, and then, it was a couple movies, TV shows later, and the kind of beliefs went the other way. So I think that sort of stuff does come back on you. I think that they've built up enough goodwill with their players, and frankly, their players also forgive them for stuff that they don't really care about. They'll forgive them for the campaign because they'll be like, who cares about the campaign anyway? And so they'll say, yeah, maybe it's a 4, or maybe it's not very good, but who cares? I'm here for the multiplayer. As long as they deliver on the multiplayer, maybe people will just keep buying them because that's really what their preference is, what their tilt is. And so I think it might not matter in that. I think zombies probably matters more than the campaign, frankly, because I don't know if people really buy Modern Warfare for the campaign. I do, which is why a 4 matters to me, a 4-hour experience that is rated bad by IGN. Yeah, I did, right? They didn't lose me years ago. I'll still pop in and buy a game. I usually wait for the Call of Duties to go on sale, and then I'll buy them and play through the campaign. But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to matter to certain people. It's certainly not going to help their reputation. And I think Hogue is right on the money that like they've built up some goodwill, but you can ruin that pretty quickly if you continue to release subpar products. I think in this case, it's probably not going to matter as long as the multiplayer delivers, because I really don't know that people care too much about the things that they're doing poorly. And maybe that's why they feel like they can get a pass on it or release something that is subpar. But I think I am really proud of outlets like IGN and like Season Gaming for putting those low scores out there, because I think it's important and it's true. I think it's good that they're doing that. It's unfortunate some of the stuff I've seen about, oh, now they're owned by Xbox, they're giving them a bad score. No, yeah. Play the game. Play the game first and tell me.
Are there people saying that? Because Xbox would have had nothing to do with this game at all.
Oh yeah, Hogue. It was pretty much every comment on the IGN tweet with our review is like, oh, I get it, of course, because you guys are Sony people. Now you got to give it a low score, just like you did Starfield, which Starfield didn't get a low score, but it doesn't matter. It's all noise. I think hopefully normal people understand that has nothing to do with anything. And certainly if you play the campaign, you're probably going to see exactly why critics came to the conclusions they came to.
I had a funny conversation yesterday, Travis, or the day before, that you would have banged your head against a wall in, because someone came to me and said, the campaign's not great, but it's not a 4. It's not a broken, buggy mess. And so my response was, well, why? What makes you think a 4 means a broken, buggy mess? And I said, well, that's, they were basically saying that's what it is in my head. And I said, well, first of all, obviously you're talking about IGN because that's the 4 that, the most popular review for it. But have you gone to IGN's page and looked at what a 4 represents? Because I've read it. It's right here in front of me. And it doesn't say a broken, buggy mess. It basically says it's a poor game with some, or a bad game with some, I forget the exact wording, but structural issues, while it still may have some bright spots. And I read that to him.
I think one of the sentences is like, even if there's a good idea or two in here somewhere, it's buried under so many bad ones that we can't recommend it, or something like that. It's
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically,
and so
it's not a good game.
Yeah. And so what I was putting forth, and I'll put this forth, obviously, for anyone listening, is like, you shouldn't equate what a number means to you and then place that expectation on a site, or even sites, especially because even sites have different meanings for different ratings, right? So you need to kind of look at the site itself, look at the reviewer, and then kind of take that as you will. And if you disagree with it, that's fine. But just keep in mind, it's just an opinion. It's just a game review. It doesn't matter.
You are asking way too much.
Oh, I know. I know.
Biggest part of the gaming community. But
yeah, I know.
I appreciate your effort. So.
Yeah, I try. But I just found it funny because it was like, this game's not a 4 because it's not a broken, buggy mess. And I'm like, who defined 4 as that? Like, like you've made up your own definition in your head of what a 4 is.
Broken, buggy mess is like 2 to me, because 2 at the IGN scale means painful. And I think it says some stuff about, and also a game can be really bad without being broken. You know what I mean? Like a game can function correctly, but still just be a painful game to play. And I just think people have in their head their idea of the review scale, which is 8 to 10 means great and 7 to 1 means absolutely trash. And I reject that review scale, and I think everyone should. But even if you don't, even if that's how you want to operate, like I've got friends in the industry that basically operate on that assumption because they think, well, even if I don't like it, it's what other people interpret, and so therefore I need to comply with what they're saying. So they will Like Paul Tassi is a great example of that. I got into it with him about it because he says, look, I don't like the 8 to 10 means good and 7 to 1 means terrible, but that's how people interpret it. And therefore I'm going to score games that way. And I'm just like, nah.
That's a terrible approach.
Yeah. I'm just like, nah, dude, they're wrong. The people are wrong in this case. No, it's the kids that are wrong.
Communicate notions to people, right? So, I mean, I don't think that that's wrong. I like the way you describe it with IGN, just defining what its numbers are, and more people should read that, and it should probably be linked in like every review if it's not.
It is.
But I understand where Paul Tassi's of the world come from and say, look, if I'm going to put a number on this, it's got to be communicating something to the person that's reading this, and so I should meet the reader where they live.
Yeah. I think outlets could do a better job of explaining what their scores mean and how they work and that sort of stuff. And to a certain extent, it's going to differ from every outlet, obviously. And it's also going to require that people have to get involved in understanding what the outlets that they read reviews from mean, which is a lot of context and work, frankly, to do. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it to add that layer of nuance instead of just making the current system we have of it's either amazing or it sucks. I don't think that's helpful to people.
I think video games have a problem because for the most part, IGN isn't reviewing real trash. Even when they give a trash score, it's something that cleared the iceberg level enough to get attention that they think people would be interested in the review, right? Like the real garbage, the stuff that you've paged through on the PlayStation Store or the eShop or wherever, or Steam, like that's not getting reviewed at all.
No,
like the lower end of the spectrum just isn't getting used because we're not even looking at those games.
Well, yeah, if you look at our reviews on Open Critic for SG, I think our average is something like it's like a high 7, like the average, right? And I look at that, and when I first saw it, I was like, damn, we rate kind of high. But then I was like, no, it's only because we rate the games we want to play, right? We're not out there rating the 3s and the 4s.
Yeah. In IGN's case, it's because we don't review games if we don't think our audience cares about them. And so if audience cares about them, we'll review it. Choo Choo Charles was a game that for some reason people really cared about, even though it wasn't big. And, I gave it a bad score. But yeah,
on IGN. I mean, this is going to happen with any outlet.
Exactly. It's not just that we're trying to serve our readers either, which we are. It's also just bandwidth. Like I'm sure Seasoned Gaming doesn't review every game because who has the time, who has the staff to do that? In IGN's case, it's less about staff and more about time and money, right? Like you have to pay somebody to make a review and video editor and blah, blah, blah. And like, if nobody's going to care about that 3 out of 10 game, then that's not worth it. But Call of Duty is a huge game. And we gave it a 4 out of 10. So
for the campaign,
for the campaign. So clearly we're not afraid of using our scale. It's really just about how many opportunities do we get to do that. I think we're doing better about it. This year, we had kind of like we usually have a pretty steep curve around the 7 or 8s, and that was really tapered off this year pretty significantly. And so I think we had high highs and low lows. We had like quite a few 10s and quite a few like 4s and 5s. And I gave the only 2 this year.
Well, and the last thing, I know we talk about reviews a lot, but the last thing I would say, right, is at the end of the day too, as we've talked about before, these kind of guidance for certain scores are goalposts, right? They're at the end of the day, you still have different reviewers having different experiences, having different opinions of a game. So, even comparing one reviewer to another on the same game, you're not going to get the same experience necessarily.
Even with the same review scale. But the thing I think is useful about the scale, though, is at least everybody's using the same rubric. So they're trying to say,
exactly. You're trying to fit in there.
Read the description of 6 out of 10. Did I feel like it fits into that slot versus somebody else's? And it also helps because, when my reviews go into edit, sometimes they'll read my review and they'll be like, honestly, Travis, it seems like you did not like this game. And are you sure that the score that you awarded it matches the way you felt about it?
Do that too.
Sometimes you'll have to reread your own review and go, God, maybe I did not like this game. Or if you don't feel that way, then you're like, okay, look, I just wrote all the negative stuff, so I just need to add the positive things, which I'm pretty prone to doing. Like I'll just put all my complaints out there first, and then sometimes I'll read my review and go, I actually don't think it was this bad. Let me add some more bright spots and some positivity to it. So it's an interesting process, but I think people really get wrapped up in the whole, like, what's their angle and who's paying them? How are they making money? And it really could not be more simple. It's like, we make money because you guys read the reviews. What the scores are does not matter to us at all. It's really just like, do we have an audience and do you guys care about these games and the reviews we're making? And as it turns out, you guys do care, by the way. The reviews are like the most highly clicked thing besides guides. So clearly people care about them.
But how much does that score affect like the SEO and getting the traffic to your site though? Using that scale?
It affects certain outlets more. Like if you're a smaller outlet, your speed matters a lot more than if you're IGN, and also the score can matter, like especially if you're an outlier. If you gave it a 10,
higher low end,
it'll matter. For IGN, it doesn't affect us at all from what we can tell. Like it doesn't matter really. The only thing that matters is how big the game is. Our speed doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's a week after the game came out or before. And our score doesn't really matter either. It's really just about how much do people care about that game. If it's a big game, it's going to do traffic.
It's harder to see the differences when you're counting between the hundreds of millions,
That's what I was going to say. IGN's too big. Yeah, it's a whole different world. But like Jimquisition, so not the point for Jimquisition came out this week and gave Alan Wake 2 a 4.
Oh yes,
and
that
it's
Alan
like,
Wake 2
whoa,
review was hilarious.
It's like, wow. It's like, here we go again. Like this is obviously just missing the plot, but they did that with something else too. I forget. It's not. Uncommon.
So Jimquisition is also the one that gave Starfield before, right?
Yes,
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
So 4 seems to be their fastball.
I never even heard of it
before. She's the one who in the Starfield review wrote a bunch of stuff about bad practices that the studio makes.
Yes,
and made it basically broke my golden rule, which is like never include anything that isn't about the game.
You've lost the plot of the game.
Yeah, she did that, and I think that I don't know that reviewer personally, but I know a bad review when I see one.
Yeah. One last thing on this. AP asks, we've talked about this ad nauseum, but just to quickly answer the question, AP, what's up, man? He says, if it's $20 indie game, would it still get a 4? Price doesn't matter.
Neither does the team size.
Yeah, team size and price. They shouldn't. Maybe they do to some outlets, but they shouldn't.
They do.
Yeah. So the rule there is obviously price matters to you, like you as the consumer. But the reason we don't take it into account in reviews is because a game being less money does not make it more fun to play. The only thing that has changed is your expectations of it, which is fine. But in a perfect world, you're just evaluating the game and you're removing all external factors that aren't related to, is this game fun? And things like price and how big the team are don't affect you as the player. And in fact, most people don't even know how big the team was. And so those factors really are, it's kind of gets insider baseball. And so, and the other reason price isn't really taken into account is because money means things to different people. If you're like a 6-year-old kid working on a $4 a week allowance, $20 matters a lot to you. And if you're an adult with lots of money, then $20 could mean nothing. And so it's kind of hard to include that when you're quantifying the quality of a game, because it can mean so many different things depending on who you are. And so I think it's best to remove anything that isn't just how fun is this game to play? Is it worth my time? Is a much better question than is it worth your money? And so we remove factors like that. And I think it's a good idea to do so.
Yep. All right. We won't. Let's close out the review because we've talked about all that stuff many, many times. But I just wanted to bring that up.
I still like it though.
Favorite topic. I like talking about it too. Yeah. Because I honestly get kind of some of the things I see people expect or say about reviews. I'm like, they don't seem to kind of get what a review is meant for, but that's a whole other topic.
Gaines, I love it when you pull your hat down when you're talking about something and you can't see your eyes.
Face.
Yeah, it looks like you're crying because Pikachu just lost in another Pokemon battle, Like you're just like, you're upset and you're not sure which Pokemon you're going to choose next.
So like Jagger, for instance, just said fun is subjective. Well, reviews are subjective. Like,
yeah, it's all opinion.
I mean, that's the whole point.
But
anyway,
it's a peer review, right? It's your peer giving you some. Ideally, like if a reviewer is doing their job right, it feels like a friend on a couch telling you what they thought of it. And you might think something different, but that's still valuable, right? To hear a peer say whether they liked it or not.
Yeah. Yep. That's why we say read the reviews instead of just looking at the score.
Right.
Last thing I want to comment on real quick is just around game media. So it's been a rough year, I'd say, not only for game studios but gaming media as well. So I know a lot of people don't pay attention to this stuff, but there's a lot of sites out there and kind of publications and organizations that have lost a lot of people. The big one this week was around Escapist. So if you didn't see this, the Escapist editor-in-chief was let go. And after he was let go, much of their core staff, including Zero Punctuation or Yahtzee, whatever you want to call him, quit. And basically, they all left Escapist at once. And then they went on to this week set up Second Wind, which is a new organization that, they're going to do kind of the Last Stand thing with Patreon and
they named
get set
it
up.
something kind of like Last Stand.
I know, Second Wind. Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
the same thing. Yeah.
So they're set up. Obviously, they already have a huge amount of support through Patreon, and they're starting fresh. So we also had Kotaku got a new editor-in-chief last week, I believe, and some of their writers were let go this week. And then a few smaller indie sites, which many people might not have heard of, but like Uppercut announced they're shutting down too. So kind of a strange time for gaming media. It's
media, right? I mean, Jezebel closed down this week too. I mean, it's media in general.
Media in general, that's fair. Yeah. But we talk about this a lot, in our SG chat and our Discord for the group, and it's just we look around and it's like, man, there's just indie sites are taking chops left and right, and even some of the bigger sites, like we said, just going through rough times. So it's kind of a shame to see in a way.
Yeah, with a disclaimer that I wrote for Escapist, and I'm internet friends with Nick, the editor that got
seems
fired.
like a really good dude, by the way. I don't know him, but seems like.
Well, I mean, if anybody who would quit en masse to rejoin a guy, I assume has some charisma,
probably fair,
or value to him. Like that's a crazy thing to do, but
yeah, and really major talent people at Escapist did all leave. What you could tell as it was happening, as you were watching on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. It's like, oh, looks like they stepped in it. They didn't communicate with their people that they were going to do this, certainly, because they all left in solidarity. And I think that's likely to work out. I mean, the difficulty with all of these media outlets, certainly since Kind of Funny and Easy Allies and Last Stand Media and all these things, is that to the extent that these writers or journalists or content creators or whatever you want to call them on any given day can create a brand for themselves, this avenue has been proven to be effective for at least a time. And so Nick and friends, especially with Zero Punctuation, starting Second Wind, I would anticipate to be a major success story. Yeah. I would expect it to be in the Kind of Funny Last Stand level after a time. And Nick actually seems to be a more organized force than many, because he was already organizing this team at Escapist. So I would expect it to go very well. But I think that's a good thing. The democratization of the content delivery is a good thing overall. The avenues to go, and if you've got an employment situation that isn't working out for you, or if you get fired like this, to go and create your own business is a good thing. So I don't look at it as an overly negative week. And I think the Kotaku side of things, I think they also started up a new social media brand, or a bunch of them did this past week as well. I think it's Aftermath. So I think that those,
Aftermath.
I think that those options are good overall. Now, do you get into the same position like we did with streaming, where you wind up in the same place that you were before, but in a slightly different look? Maybe. But I'm in favor of these things being crowdfunded. And again, I'm self-interested, right? Hogue Law YouTube channel is almost entirely crowdfunded. YouTube ads aren't really paying the bills. And so I'm in favor of that methodology and being able to reach people directly when maybe you couldn't do that before, and not going through Geo or IGN or CBS, GameSpot, or anywhere else. But yeah, I'm happy those places exist. At some point, we're going to have to figure out what to do with the fact that their people are branding themselves in such a way, and then having this avenue, because it is a talent drain risk for these outlets. And I think that we'll see that in the next few years. But as of right now, I think these stories are overall good things.
Yeah. So I'll speak as a stand-in for traditional media, I guess, which is that to a certain extent, I mean, I don't want to sound overly, I don't know, harsh or capitalist here, but like, I think models that fail are models that were failures to a certain extent, right? Outlets that go down for a reason. Either they're not serving their community, and you could still be sad about that or what have you. But I think these sorts of things tend to even themselves out. In terms of, I'm a big fan of there being more options in the marketplace, and so I understand Hoag's likes for this. I do believe in traditional media and think that it has a unique and important role, which is that larger organizations can, in my opinion, are more less vulnerable to becoming not trustworthy, right? And so if you're a YouTuber who, for example, does what I do, if you're a critic, you are unfortunately the advertiser and the content creator, which creates a conflict of interest. You don't have that kind of naturally created barrier of division, right? Where somebody else is handling who's gonna advertise for you, and then you're just doing your editorial part. You don't really have that when you're in a smaller organization or a one-stop shop, certainly. And so you kind of just have to trust the person that they're going to have scruples, which I'm sure isn't always true, or even if it is true, it's harder to balance. You also don't have like institutional checks and balances of like having an editor or other people look at your work necessarily. And so I think there is some risk there of people putting their trust or their faith in people that maybe don't have their best interests at heart or don't have the tools to succeed at doing what they're trying to do, because being small is harder. And so I think people punch at larger organizations and traditional media a lot, as they should. Traditional media fails a lot of time, and I think that is also a check and a balance, is that people get feedback and you can hopefully do better. But I do think that there's a lot of merit and promise in traditional media being a part of the puzzle. And so anytime that gets smaller, it worries me a little bit, because I think some people say, oh, we don't need this, it's irrelevant. And I would very much disagree. I think it takes all kinds. I'm glad that both are around. I don't like it when traditional media gets smaller, because it means there's fewer options for people to consume that sort of stuff. But I do think that there are unique advantages that are super important in traditional media. And I can only speak for myself, which is that I've worked for small outlets, I've created content independently, and I've worked for large outlet like IGN. And I by far have preferred working at IGN to those other options, just because it works best for what I want to do, which is say whatever I want and not have to worry about the business part, right? And just be able to editorialize and be a critic, a pure critic, without having to worry about like which publisher I'm going to piss off or which advertiser our site might have. Like, I just don't have any of those issues. So it works best for me, and it's how I like to consume news.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally fair. Although I would point out, you still kept a foot out of IGN as well, right? You're not an employee there.
I'm not an employee there because it gives me even more freedom, and they have to pay me for all my work done rather than giving me a salary. And then I like my incentives to be aligned with my employer. So I like it when every time I'm making more, I'm getting paid more, and vice versa. So once you become salary, it becomes less about, I like my relationships with organizations to be transactional. So it's more, it's the model that fits me best. But as an organization, as an organization, I'm basically a full-time employee effectively. Like, I'm in their Slack. I, talk to all their people. I'm in their meetings and stuff like that. And so it's really just the model by which I get paid, but I'm effectively a part
Lawyers at IGN, Travis didn't say that, nor did he mean it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely not a part of the organization. I'm a 501. I don't know. What do you call it? E9? I don't know what the form is I get.
You keep it up, it's going to be an H1B. No, I'm kidding.
He's a 1099.
That's a deep
1099. That's it. That's what I am. The 1099. I get that thing every year. That's right.
Yeah. Fair enough. Well said. I just wanted to call it out because, I think I agree with a lot of what you said, Travis. And there's a lot of, as always with most things, right? There's a lot of gray there. There's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of unique situations to call out. Someone obviously like us at SG is going to be a very different situation from IGN. We talk about that a lot. But like, you have all those other kind of middle, I would say, size companies too, that are, when you start to become required and you're walking on razor thin margins for what you're making financially, and what you have to produce to hit those goals, becomes tough. Becomes very tough. So, all right. Let's go ahead and wrap this up, boys. It's been a good show, been a fun one. Goes without saying, we've got the Game Awards tomorrow. The nominees being announced tomorrow. So tomorrow is Judgment Day. We will see what happens with our initial bet, and then we will come next week. You have homework, gentlemen. Come next week with your winners of every single category, all of them. Esports coach, you got to pick someone.
Speaking of nihilistic,
you got to pick someone. Just do it.
What's your favorite?
That's gonna screw us over.
What's your favorite gaming personality?
Yeah, who's your favorite gaming personality?
I don't know any personality. Honestly,
neither.
I'm probably even worse off than you guys. I don't know who, like, what was the people
Correct.
you were mentioning earlier, the escapist people? I don't know anybody in the industry.
Escapist? Zero punctuation? Yeah.
Yeah,
but
I thought
yes.
you guys were talking about the game. Or something. I was like, oh, well, they let a bunch of people off at the studio for the escapists. That sucks. I didn't know that thing was still going on. But
oh yeah, that is a game. I forgot about that.
First thing that popped in my mind.
So anyway, we'll see what happens tomorrow and have a good laugh next week. On the season gaming side, pretty quiet lately. We haven't gotten back to Cast Co-op yet. Believe me, we're trying. Just a lot going on. I do have a little video up of this guy right here. So if you're Dark Souls fan, Statue fan, you've got a video of Sigurd sitting there you can check out up on the site. But otherwise, I will hand it off. Travis, what you got, man?
Yeah, I've got the review of Assassin's Creed Nexus VR going live on Thursday. Excited to talk about that. I'm not reviewing because it's kind of too small of an expansion, but I will be able to talk about the Remnant 2 DLC, the Awakened King, next week, which I'm excited to talk about. And then I think my next review is unannounced, TBA, but I'm almost certainly reviewing Asgard's Wrath 2, which should be a lot of fun. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You can hear me talking, speaking of nihilistic, hear me talk about Destiny on Thursdays and on the Last Word show. Yeah, hope everybody's having a good time. Good end of year. It's a great time to catch up on games. Hogue, I hope the audience knows that I don't hate Hogue. We have fun here.
It is pretty funny because the chat occasionally thinks that we hate each other, and
Yeah.
Travis is the best.
I think it's fun to get these newer people in.
Each other. We have nothing but love for each other, and we also have a thing in common where we don't take it personally when we go as hard as possible against each other, because that's
make your
us.
point.
That's
Absolutely.
the fun. That's the fun part, right? That's her. That's Ho getting to practice his lawyering, and me getting to practice my being a critic.
Getting to not host. I just get to sit back and laugh, which is fun.
When I finished Alan Wake 2, I had a long chat sequence with Travis just talking about nonsense from the game.
Yeah.
I just have a lot of self-hate, so nothing but love.
You argue with yourself.
Yeah.
Also, we have one person who says that me at 6 times speed, I'm not a jerk, which is making me wonder if I'm more of a jerk at regular speed.
What about
crossover a threshold?
You said 6 times speed.
Yeah.
Somebody's watching us at 6 times speed, bro.
Maybe that's the best way to consume you. 6 times speed.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't recommend chugging Travis, to be honest with you. That sounds like a great way to get dysentery. I don't like that at all.
No, but I think the people who think like we're actually arguing with one another are people who are some of our newer viewers, right? Who haven't been to a bunch of episodes with us. But I would say that like, I don't know about you guys, but the shows where like the whole panel just agrees with each other the whole time bore me to tears. Like it's okay to have differing opinions. Like that's the whole point. Like, hell, I have Hoke's shirt for God's sakes. Like, it's okay to have different opinions and to talk about them passionately without hating the other person. Like that shouldn't even be a hard concept to.
And also, we should clarify that we don't force the differ. I know some panels like to.
We're sincere.
Differing. We sincerely disagree, at least.
I think that's pretty clear. But
when some shows just don't have disagreement, that's just because we happen to all agree. We tried to start a snafu about eggnog last week, and it didn't happen. We just all agreed that eggnog's pretty good. So
Vintage planted that after the candy corn debacle. Like, what about eggnog? There's out there.
And it went the opposite way. It brought us closer together. So that's the great candy corn wars were followed by an era of peace.
There was no war. The war was very clearly won. Candy corn.
Was it? I mean, you had to eat candy corn, so I think you lost.
Delicious.
Yeah.
What's that bag at?
You were the one who said, "I don't want to eat this."
It's
just
upstairs.
sugar
It's
and-
completely full.
I have
isn't
had
it?
more of it.
Oh,
I
okay.
haven't had a lot of it, I'll admit, but I have had a few more
I know
pieces.
how much you care about fitness, so
Yeah.
I know every bite of that candy corn you were regretting. There's no way. It's
I
worth
was
it.
literally mathematically adding it up in my head while eating. I'm not even joking.
And here's the thing:
Yeah.
is like how much it hurts you is not worth that level of payoff at candy corn. For me to eat candy, it has to be real good. You know what I mean? Because like I'm trying to stay fit, homie. I'm doing supernatural workout after the show. So.
Yeah.
Oh man, I felt like crap last night for whatever reason, and I started drinking, and then I ate a bunch of potato chips, dude. I felt horrible. I was like, "What have I done?" I felt terrible.
I did ab workouts last night, bro. I'm crushing it. With the
Under that
Mediplex,
tie, he's just 8-pack.
Dude, that's my goal. Dude, my goal is to one day just like washboard abs, you know, and just pull it out. And you guys are like, what? Travis is jacked. Did you guys ever play Tales from the Borderlands?
Sure.
No, I have not played Tales.
Oh crap. I want to be like the best friend. Remember that guy?
Only the very beginning.
Tales from the Borderland. He takes off his shirt when they're in the desert and he's just got washboard abs. Like just the most ripped nerdy dude ever. I want to be like that. I'm working my way there, guys. It's cool.
Oh my gosh. All right. Keep at it. Hogue, what you got going on?
Yeah, I put out a community post a couple days ago, but I have not been able to make videos for a little while now since I got back from my trip. It's proven to be a little bit more difficult than I had anticipated to get back into the swing of things this year, as you can imagine, but also going on the trip, coming back has just been a step or two more difficult than I thought. So I'm going to try to do hangouts and headlines more, maybe do some virtual legality, talk about Michigan. A lot of people want me to talk about the Michigan suspension. We'll see if I do that on the channel. But overall, that's where you can find me. I do community posts when I feel guilty about not making videos. So those will be there at least. Check out the Hogue Law YouTube channel, folks. And you can find me on Twitter as well, talking about my undefeated Michigan Wolverines.
Are they still undefeated?
They are still undefeated.
Wow.
No,
Good
Penn
for
State
you, man.
couldn't beat them yesterday.
I want you to know, as somebody who has no stake in that world, I'm happy for you.
That's what I said before you joined. It was just me and Hogue before the show. We were talking about that, and I said, that's good. I'm happy for you.
I love it, man.
They have not lost in like 3 years as long as I've been conscious.
Yeah. In my brain, it's just a pack of like literal Wolverines, just
rabid Wolverines
out
just
there
devouring people.
I don't know what they're winning at.
They
but
literally
they're
had a
doing very
commercial
well.
about that.
Undefeated.
They like, or was it Woodson, right? Charles Woodson. He's like, everybody else has got mascots. Michigan doesn't. So I thought I'd bring one in. And he brings in an actual Wolverine. And I think he eats Eddie George or something like that. Or
Do you know what the state of Michigan doesn't have? Wolverines.
Yeah,
for sure.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Nice.
There's no Gators in SF either. My college mascot was a Gator.
Wasn't Woodson a cornerback?
Famous
cornerback. Yeah. Okay. I actually remember him. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Well, what the hell's a
Actually,
Jayhawk? We still haven't figured out. We've
is
lived there for years.
my college mascot was actually supposed to be the Golden Gators, the people who built the bridge. But then at some point, somebody was just like, let's just throw an alligator in here. And now there's an alligator mascot at my school for no reason. It's not even what we are.
When the professional team in Washington wanted to change their name, I thought they should just change their logo to a potato. But I was not heard on this.
I like it.
It's too bad. I would love a potato mascot. That'd be great.
The Washington Redskins.
Yeah.
No, and then they lose. They go, potatoes get mashed by Michigan State or whatever. That'd be amazing. Let's do it.
They're baked.
If the Washington Redskins lost to a college team, that would be a bad thing.
Yeah, it would be.
See, I didn't know the distinction. So,
Dan, Jagger said Jayhawks are real. Leave Kansas alone. I don't know if they realize we're both
20-something years. No, it's literally a fictional being for whatever the hell it is. But I got nothing against Kansas.
I thought they were rock
like
and they were
dragons
chalk.
and stuff.
No,
Huh?
I thought they were rock and they were chalk.
Rock chalk.
That's what I know
Rock
about
chalk.
Jayhawks.
Yeah,
They
rock
do
chalk.
right here.
Yep.
So do we.
Oh,
We live
Jagger's in Kansas too. Shout out, Jagger.
Hey, somebody says
That's what we
He's
ignorance.
got moves like Jagger.
Yep.
All right, we have. I don't even have a funny phrase or pun to end this on. So I'm going to say thank you everyone for hanging out with us on this long episode today. We had some good laughs. Enjoy the games. We'll be back next week. Finally get to talk about our game of the year bet and see where that landed up on the nominees. It's going to be fun. I'm nervous about tomorrow. I got to be honest.
I'm ready to lose. Let's go.
Resident Evil 4. Come on, guys. Everyone vote Resident Evil 4. Come on, you can do it.
You don't want that, Ains. Win some other way.
Oh, Lord.
All right, guys, have a good week. Everyone enjoy their games. We will see you next Sunday. Thanks as always for hanging out with us. Until then.